place on fire. Let's get higher. I'm gonna set your place on fire. Let's get higher. Put a little bit of shit, put a little bit of shit, put a little bit of shit. I'ma make it burn, I'ma make it burn, I'ma make it burn, I'ma make it burn, I'ma make it burn,
And we are live. And all three of us are in the room. Sometimes I think y'all in the audience don't appreciate how much work goes into putting these streams just 10 minutes before. Just how 90% of everything that goes into the next couple of hours always happens 10 minutes before the stream. And I don't think you'll appreciate just the level of tight coordination that goes into everything while we're putting this stuff together. How y'all doing today? You are watching the Barracks Non-Euclidean Intelligence Network, brought to you by myself, Teray, at Hard Targets, on YouTube at Iron Sun USA, on X.com. To my right, you know him, you love him. He's an aspiring warlord for the modern era. It's the Yankee Tanky.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have an extraordinary show for you today. Be ready, because it is coming.
It is coming in, falling out of the sky. And just below, we should put you up above one of these days, Milkman.
I'm happy down here.
Happy down here in the shadows.
I'm all right.
always lurking. Right. He is the monster under your bed, your friendly neighborhood Milkman. How you doing, Milk?
I'm doing all right. They're not after you. They're after me. You're just in the way.
Yeah, like Roger Stone was the one who coined "Make America Great Again." Milkman was the one who coined that famous Trumpism.
I'm just abusing it.
I was the one who coined "E pluribus unum" that is printed on the dollar bill. That was you. That was me. You know, I wrote it on a napkin one day, and I just gave it to Alexander Hamilton 250 years ago and said, hey, this doesn't sound cool. And he said,
you're telling me you have had a time machine this whole time? You could have stopped 9/11, Teray.
I'm saying I have been alive for many eons because I have very good genetics.
Like a fucking elf.
I know. So we have a very good show for you tonight. It's going to be a long one today. Longer than the stream we did a couple of weeks ago when we were debating people on Twitter space. We're going to be watching the Tucker Carlson Trump interview as it drops at 8:55, just moments before the Republican primary candidates hop onto that debate stage. Do your patriotic duty and ignore the fuck out of that primary debate. Be watching the Barracks instead.
Well, we will probably cover it tomorrow though, because got to see if Chris Christie devours Nikki Haley like Saturn.
Right, we have to cover all of the top Thunderdome KOs, all of the Mortal Kombat fatalities, and
ladies and gentlemen, Chris Christie is hungry.
We will also be covering the breaking news from earlier today. For those of you who aren't on X.com, what the fuck are you doing with your life? Get on there. It's an awesome website. The former CEO of the Wagner PMC, Yevgeny Prigozhin, has been killed today. By whom? It's not clear. The fog of war is still pretty thick, but his plane was shot out of the sky over Russian airspace around 1 p.m., 2 p.m. earlier today. And we will be covering what little that we know about the situation. It is an ongoing security situation in Russia. So that's a lot to cover in and of itself. But before we get into those topics, we always have a couple of palate cleanses. I should do a AM radio. Just have everyone's dad who works just as a machinist, just listening to like a little plastic radio on their shelf and just. You are listening to the top conspiracy theories with Teray Nasheed on the Barracks Live, 9 a.m. radio. So yeah, we have quite the show for you today. Make sure to follow us at the Barracks Live on X, on Twitter X, if you don't already. And one thing, Yankee Tanky made sure to waterboard me before we got started because I almost forgot to remind you to follow the Barracks Discord channel. We want y'all coordinating with us. We want to be growing this conversation that we are having as premier leadership of the Marxist-Leninist revolution in the United States. The people's deep state needs you. We are recruiting you into the Discord channel. Links in the YouTube. We'll make sure to drop it on the X Live as well. How y'all doing today? We're gonna be in it today. You know, we gotta start revving up those engines. How you doing?
We got ourselves a long stream. Tucker Carlson and Trump. That's going to be an interesting interview. That's going to be we're going to be covering later today. But you know, we still got to get into what's going on with Prigozhin. That's what I'm really interested about.
Oh, you don't want to indulge me?
No, you have to give me some time to pull up the. I said I was going to give for those in the audience. This is one of the things that went on behind the scenes 10 minutes beforehand when we were deciding on a palate cleanser before we get into the news. Milkman.
I just want to rant about Twitter discourse.
Yeah, so for those of you who have not had enough discourse today.
Discourse about discourse, so.
We're getting meta.
It's next level.
Hold on to your pants. So I promised Milkman he would get 5 minutes of discourse. And this is going to be up on screen the entire time.
Okay.
Because, you know, we
right, I might pace while I do this.
All right. Starting now. Your intro counts as part of, like, explaining the discourse part counts as.
Okay, so today I'm on Twitter. I'm arguing with some people about 9/11, and there's just this trend I've noticed from leftists that I wanted to mention, which is that they adopt this like sarcastic asshole Twitter aesthetic for things that are just obviously and unequivocally true. You know, like they'll be like, I guess the no holds or no loads refused cum dump orgy is degenerate now. Well, that's so true, bestie. Or like, I said I want to flay all the skin off Matt Walsh's living flesh. I guess that's inciting violence. Like, look at the brain genius over here. And I just can't stand it. Like, it's this irony poisoning. Well, that's what people call it. Except, like, irony is like, it's not irony. Irony is when Romeo wakes up right when Juliet wakes up right when Romeo dies. That's irony. I don't know what this stuff is. It's like this weird dissociation where they have this like sarcastic alter persona where all their authentically held views they have to take like an arm's distance to and pretend they have like it's not me who's mocking the philosopher watching his daughter burn alive. It's like sarcastic milkman. It's like serial killer consciousness is what it is. Like how serial killers will have an alternate personality, and it's like, oh well, I was just like dissociated and watching myself commit the murder because these people got so fucking traumatized by the fact that Bernie lost and Trump won. For 7 years, they've been coping about it, and they've got this like alter sarcastic personality where all the horrible things they do, they take like an arm's distance to, and say, oh, it's just a joke. Oh, I'm just joking. How often do you fucking hear that, right? But what's the joke? There is no joke. They really believe it, but they're just like cowards and take an arm's distance to it because they can't cope with the fact that like, oh, I have all the correct moral positions and I'm still like an asshole and everyone hates me. How is this possible? It's because the morality revolves around the asshole, right? It's like an anal morality. Is how can it be immoral if it makes me come? So I have all the positions that make me come, but like every time I talk to my mom about politics, she ends up in tears. How can this be? So they get traumatized by that, and they have this like alter sarcastic. But you know, this is old news. This is old news. Like we all hate leftists, but what I really thought is I thought there was going to be like some level of camaraderie with the right because we both hate leftists, right? But they're even fucking worse. Like they're just the most disgusting, degenerate people on the timeline. They're just out here like openly praising Hitler, openly pro-pedophile, and it's like just no shame at all. And the worst part is that these people are like shitting on Oliver Anthony, calling him a hill person and shit, and they think they're like fucking aristocrats. You're not an aristocrat. You're like in your mom's basement eating tendies. You're as far from an aristocrat as a person can possibly be. And not only that, the aristocrats use you to like all their authoritarian measures. How do they justify it? Oh, we have to fight white nationalism. Like average people hate these people so much that they're willing to just give up all their fucking rights. Like you're not an aristocrat. You are the poop that the aristocracy puts on the end of a stick to corral people into a cage. And they are going to side with the aristocrats over the average people. It's goddamn ridiculous. Like, I just can't. Like, where are the base people? There's no base people anywhere. They're all just freaks and boner socialists and degenerates. And then you have this class of like grifter zookeepers overseeing the whole thing, like fucking Jack Pasibiak and Ben Shapiro and the Young Turks, who just like shift these animals like they're attack dogs into whichever direction they want. And I just can't take it anymore, man. Like this Twitter discourse is driving me insane. Where are the normal people? And like, I'm arguing about 9/11. And like, at this point, if you're like a political person, it's been 22 years and you still haven't caught on to this. Like, look, I don't believe in IQ or any of that shit, but if I was designing an intelligence test, it would be a series of increasingly elaborate scams, and we see how long you can hold on to your wallet. That's the milkman intelligence test, right? But with these people, it's like their wallet's long gone, and they're just looking me dead in the eyes like, what do you mean? My wallet's right here in my pocket. I could show it to you at any time. Anyway. All right, 5 seconds to spare.
Okay. Well, I think we. Oh wow, that's alarm. That's an alarm. It's like, oh, Milkman, you're done. No, but
I can't take it, man. It drives me crazy.
I feel you. I mean, you see me in the same exact Twitter threads as I've seen you in. Both of us lose our fucking minds at these leftists and these wignats and all these people that just frankly don't give a shit about average people. You're right. You know?
They don't. They think they're like special, some special class of people. And you know why it drives me so crazy? Is because the ruling class philosophy is that because everything's on the surface and people still are getting duped and not doing anything about it, they deserve it. And if I was like in a debate with some like 33rd degree Mason, how would I argue with that? Like these people are still defending the official narrative of 9/11 22 years later. Yeah, they kind of do deserve it. I don't know. That's what keeps me up at night, man.
And the both of you are like pit bulls. As soon as you hook on to something, you're not letting go until the thing is dead. Until one or both of us is dead.
Yeah. I had to get that off my chest.
No, when you're going off like that, there's a couple of banger one-liners in there. I want to make this like a regular segment of just like once you finally get a camera, I want there to be like a cork board with string behind you, and we'll pivot to you at some point during the stream. We'll pivot to you like the weatherman, just like, and now here's the milkman with the daily 5-minute rant, and there's just like faces and string behind you, and the windows are blocked out with newspaper. And you're just going. You're just like, and it's just fucking. You gotta understand, man. Like I've been in it I haven't slept in 3 days, but like I'm pretty sure.
We're here with now we turn to the milkman for the schizo report. How's it going, milkman? I haven't slept in 3 days.
We are totally going to have one of those like slide-ins. The schizo report, and like it's like just like it's the weather, but it's its own transition for the milkman.
What's in the coffee mug today, milkman? Cigarettes.
Well,
embrace Marlboro communism.
There's been a bit of a hitch there, but as soon as I can, I'll be cammed up.
Well, I think with that being said, it would probably be best for us to walk into our first news story.
Who's the host here?
Speaking of 9/11 and airplanes, anyhow. Too soon? Too soon?
Yeah, so yeah, we got to ease the people into it.
I shouldn't be laughing. This is fucked.
We gotta, we have clips to make. People watching just on the clips. We're up to 102 followers on Twitter at the Barracks Live, and people just watching the clips are just gonna pivot hard in the middle of a clip. It's gonna be schizo report, haha, funny jokes about boner socialism and deadly plane crash, 10 people dead.
Oh yeah, it's the real news. Yeah,
it's just a little fucked.
Yeah, so gotta transition here. For those of you who haven't heard the breaking news, Yevgeny Prigozhin, the former CEO of Wagner PMC, the private military company in Russia that has been present in battlegrounds all around the world, defending national sovereignty of countries like from Syria to Niger. That man has been shot out of the sky around 2 p.m. today, Eastern Standard Time, with 10 people aboard his plane, 7 officials officially recognized as among the dead, 3 crew members, bringing the total up to 10 people who have been killed in this plane crash. Now, the details we have so far are spotty, but the witnesses on the ground heard 2 explosions in the sky after his plane was taking off, and the plane crashed. It fell out of the sky, crashed, and reports that are confirmed so far say that it was shot out of the sky, but this is in ongoing. This was a rapidly evolving story, as none of the reports can be like officially confirmed, because even 2 hours after this happened, and it wasn't sure if Prigozhin was on a second plane that had left at the same time that also belonged to him. People were saying he could have been on that plane. We couldn't confirm because none of the bodies had been recovered. And then as soon as bodies had been recovered, CNN immediately, this is part of the problem of this Operation Mockingbird, CIA infiltration of media all around the world, is CNN and other Western newspapers were jumping to the conclusion, saying, already putting moratoriums for Prigozhin. when the bodies had yet to be identified. They were severely destroyed and burned. So there, as far as we know so far, official reports from Russia have also confirmed that Yevgeny Prigozhin is among the 10 who were killed in this plane crash. And yeah, we start off the stream with jokes, but this is a huge event. I wanted to focus on this today. I wanted to just skip everything and go into my schizo hole, and just scroll on Telegram all day and just have all of you do this and just go down this rabbit hole with me. But yeah, what are your initial impressions about the news? R.I.P. to Yevgeny Prigozhin.
Well, I mean, the first thing that everyone's thinking, frankly, is was he assassinated by Vladimir Putin and the Russian government? Right? I mean, it wasn't that long ago that Prigozhin led kind of a coup, not really, whatever the hell you want to call what transpired a few months ago. And, he's been a target. But on the same hand, though, there's also the facts that, Prigozhin was getting ready to help Nigeria and Africa. There seemed like, there was some movement going down in Mali. And, it seems like a mighty convenient time for him to be assassinated, and it would not benefit the Russian government. It would not benefit Wagner, and it would not benefit Africa, right? So why would Vladimir Putin choose to do this right now? So it leaves a lot of open questions. I mean, was the CIA involved? Was it Ukraine? I mean, we have no real idea. And honestly, Vladimir Putin hasn't even made, any type of speech yet. So we don't even know what, his position, the Russian government's position on all this is right now.
Yeah, it should be said that while this story was breaking, Putin was in the middle of a celebration speech celebrating the military victories of the special military operation, including celebrating the tank drivers of the Alyosha tank that had fought AFU and other such giving honors to members of the special military operation. So that is, for those of you who want to put on your tinfoil hat, as
already on.
Yeah,
it's already on.
I mean, as Jackson Hinkle had pointed out 6 hours ago, it's just well, now we know why Prigozhin wasn't imprisoned. And without any confirmations, all we can do is speculate. I mean, part of the many Twitter spaces that were going on today was one led by Mario. Was it Mario Knopfel? I forget how to pronounce his last name. But one of those guys who loves to speculate about the collapse of Russia and the grand conspiracy behind the Iron Curtain. But this is, this is one situation where, the plane was shot over on Russian airspace, and Prigozhin himself, after his protest, what he called it, his protest of sending a couple thousand troops towards Moscow in protest of not getting the supplies he needed, and in protest of not against Putin, but against the Minister of Defense. And being removed as the CEO of Wagner by Putin. It is very likely that somebody in the Kremlin was involved in this.
Well, that's kind of my problem with this. It's just everything's going to be speculation, because I still don't even really know what was up with that coup that wasn't a coup, where they just drove a while and then turned around. I still don't even know what was up with that. And now,
let's be real. It was more than that. I mean, there was actual military confrontation between Wagner and Russian forces.
There were military confrontations.
I mean, it was they overtook a building. They overtook a building that a military building that none of the people inside knew, what to make of them being confronted by Wagner forces. It wasn't a violent confrontation.
Were there casualties?
No, it was a very tense. It was a very tense
Right.
confrontation.
No casualties. So like.
And again, what Prigozhin called it. What Prigozhin called it at the time was a protest. Like, it was his protest against specifically the Minister of Defense in Russia, and not getting like the supplies he needed when his troops were the ones, like fighting and dying on the front lines in battlefields all around the world, but specifically in Bakhmut. So his beef specifically was with Shoigu, the Minister of
Wasn't
Defense.
that like a psyop though? Like, they said they didn't have. He like posted a video saying he had no ammunition, but it wasn't true, and then they like rolled Bakhmut. Like, I don't know. This all just reeks of psyops. And the one speculation I'll give is that I feel like if it was Putin, he would have just had him arrested. I feel like Putin doesn't really have incentive to be blowing up a plane like this. This is more of like a Mossad CIA thing. This is what they like to do. Like, there was some Pakistani prime minister that the Mossad killed by putting bombs on his plane. Like, this is more of their MO than Putin's, I feel like. He's in Russia. I feel like you just like have him arrested and have a show trial. But I don't know. I mean, that whole coup thing, it felt like some sort of psyop. Like, some sort of deals were being made behind the scenes that we weren't privy to, because the whole media, the whole Western media was going crazy. Like, oh, Putin's about to be overthrown. And then they just turned around and nothing happened. It was a very bizarre day.
Because it was never meant to be a military confrontation. It was never meant to be like an actual gunfight. It was just making a show, making a flamboyant show, not even a force, just a show of defiance. That's, I mean, of course he's gonna turn if it was never meant to be a show, of course, because it was a protest. When you're basically strong-arming your leadership and saying that, oh yeah, we're the ones, fighting and dying in Bakhmut. We're gonna have a lot of us pull out and see what you can or can't do without us, and we're gonna like drive up and we're gonna confront the Minister of Defense. Like, it is as much fun as it is to speculate and put on our tinfoil hats. The amount of communications, covert communications, amount of supply chains that go into these kinds of military endeavors. Like, a coup takes tens of thousands of personnel. It takes all of your heaviest equipment to besiege a city. It takes air support. You need planes to start a coup, especially in a place like Moscow. Not a couple thousand guys and 50 trucks. What's up, Chase, in the comments?
What up, Chase?
Yeah, I mean,
that's why it just seems like it wasn't real from the beginning. And they were saying Russia like bombed their camp. I mean, was that even true? It seemed like a provocation, like what Ukraine has been doing the whole time to justify something, like some aggression. And I mean, my first question, Yankee, you said the first question is, did Putin kill him? But my first question is he actually dead? Because RT has been wording their reporting in a very careful way to sort of, like, it was a plane that he was registered to be on. So, I mean, I don't even know. I feel like the fog of war has been so thick from day one, from the very beginning, with like the Snake Island shit and the Ghost of Kiev and all this. It's just a lot of psyops on both sides. I mean, Putin is ex-KGB, so he's not a stranger to psyops,
Ture, real quick, getting closer to Zelensky's face, real quick. Just
that is not a flattering picture. That is not a flattering picture.
Zoom in.
Computer enhance.
I am so mad they did not give me any cocaine at the NATO summit. I am very disappointed with NATO. Slava Ukraine, Slava cocaine.
That is a nose built for cocaine, dude. Look at that thing. It's like an arrow just pointing to the fucking mirror with the $100 bill. Yeah, like this guy's an actor, like this. And I've been seeing MAGA people saying like, oh, the whole war is fake and like it's not even actually happening. And I understand I think that's ridiculous, but I understand where that mindset comes from because it's almost feels like the information war is being treated as more important than like the actual war on the ground. At least for the Ukrainians, that's definitely true. Like how much
it's not.
resources do they just spend to replace the symbol on the shield of that statue? Like this is their priority. Their priority is like it's like if they win the
It's
war on the
also,
mines of the West, it doesn't actually matter if they win the war on the ground.
and it's also not just like
Go ahead.
RT, it's not just RT that's reporting that. It's like it's a lot of major Russian news sources like TASS confirmed that Yevgeny.
They confirmed that he's dead.
Killed. Yeah, that he's among the people who were in the wreckage and his body being like recovered. So it just seems that CNN in other Western sources, and even RT, which is more of the Western-facing Russian news network, we're quick to like get clicks, but like in this particular case, they just happened to be right that he was killed. So it's really just a matter of just waiting for more details to come out of who killed him.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you're right. We're going to have to wait for more details, but, something just seems really fishy about this whole situation. Just like as Milkman mentioned, the not coup done by Prigozhin earlier this year. I mean, you also have to remember that we're just Westerners looking and peering into what's going on in Russia too, right? If Russians, don't really have an idea of what goes on and they just, put their faith in Vladimir Putin and wait for him to speak, which is something I often heard from a lot of the Russian speakers in one of the spaces I was with DD Politics. That's what they were saying is just we just need to wait until Vladimir Putin speaks. And, they seem to have a lot more patience than Americans do when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah, it does. And it also, it doesn't help anyone to speculate. But it does benefit us to point out that the centralization of power under pro-revolutionary forces, under forces that are representative of like the supermajority of national partisans, of like citizens of a particular country against Western forces, like not just Russia, but in Niger recently with Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro installing reorganized and handpicked leadership of opposition parties, and even that when it's not a violent overthrow, it's still a centralization of authority under revolutionary forces that this assassination of Prigozhin does most likely fall under, just by the shape of it, considering like despite the fact that Prigozhin like will be remembered as a hero just because he is massively beloved by people all over the world, from Syria, where he helped liberate Syria from ISIS. If not for Yevgeny Prigozhin and Wagner, like Syria would have been overtaken by ISIS. He's beloved in Africa. He's beloved in Europe. He is still was still an erratic person, an erratic individual, someone whose individual talents in the moment of his biggest of his biggest betrayal of the Russian people. No matter how non-lethal his protest was, his rebellion was still a crack in the unity of the Russian state, which is the number one force that is preserving Russia against NATO's like Nazi takeover. So like, even though he'll be remembered as a hero, past performance is no replacement for your present stance, your present political stance. If you are as erratic a person as he always was, he's always thrown tantrums. He's always denounced members of the Russian government for years. That's like what he's known for. When you step out of line as far as he did, and Putin in that speech almost exactly 2 months ago said that we cannot forgive, we will not forget betrayals like this. He called it a betrayal. There are some actions that really you can't be reformed for, and so it just fits that shape of like the coup in Niger, where an old regimes can't be reformed, or in Venezuela, where political leadership is handpicked by Nicolas Maduro and his United Socialist Party of Venezuela. Time will tell who killed Prigozhin, but the fact that he is dead now does centralize authority squarely under Putin and the unified Russian state, which I don't think is a bad thing. I hate that it had to come to this. Like, this is a tragedy.
I think it should be interesting.
We have to look at who it benefits.
I think it should be interesting to see what ends up transpiring with Wagner in Africa now, right? I mean, without Prigozhin, what exactly is Wagner exactly at this point? I mean, time will tell.
What it is after part of the rebellion from 2 months ago was that Wagner was being absorbed into officially absorbed into the Russian military. Putin had a meeting with top guys, including Prigozhin, days before, saying that PMC was now going to be under the authority of the Russian state, meaning Shoigu, the Minister of Defense, was going to be the de facto leader of Wagner, one of Yevgeny Prigozhin's biggest rivals. Shoigu was going to be over his organization. But that had occurred. That absorption, that centralization under a united Russian government, that had happened. So we're 2 months after that decision.
We can only wish.
But it seems like, Wagner is kind of like a psyop-y organization from the beginning, because it was sort of created so that Putin had like a sort of loophole, like a reach around, where he could send people into Syria without it explicitly being the Russian army, So I don't know. It's been this sort of glowy, spooky organization from the beginning, from a Russian perspective. I don't know. The relationship between Putin and Prigozhin, I feel like I'm really curious to see what Putin says in his next speech about what happened. You say who benefits, but Wagner was kicking ass in Ukraine, So the death of their leader is definitely going to benefit Ukraine as well.
Just so we're clear, it's
from
not
that perspective,
Jews.
And we've seen the SB, we've seen the SB sucking down the juice. We've seen that Ukraine is the SBU is able to penetrate into Moscow. They had that drone attack on the Kremlin. They blew up that cafe in Moscow with the journalists in it. They obviously killed Daria Dugina. So they've been doing these kind of operations for a while. It
Recipes.
easily could have just a decast problem. They've been the strongest battlefield force because they've been battle hardened in Syria and in Africa already.
Rest in peace, Dugina.
Rest in peace, Dario Dugina.
Yeah. Also, if you're ever mocking the death of anyone, that's just disgusting behavior. I really hate to see that. Whenever you shouldn't be celebrating the death of even your worst enemy. I mean, that's just a gross thing to do. This really started with. Do you guys remember that meme of like? I don't even remember what it was exactly, but there was like an ambassador that got shot in like an art museum, and everyone was making memes about it. That was when this nasty shit started, and that was when the gloves just got taken off, and it's like, oh, it's okay to make fun of Russians when they get murdered.
I don't remember
Very inhuman behavior.
that. I mean, yeah,
You guys remember that?
I don't remember that, but it's the legacy, the 80-year legacy of NATO, of finishing the job that the Nazis started, of storming through Russia, balkanizing it into 50 different ethno-states, and enslaving all of the people there.
Exactly. Screws in a bell. If you abandon reverence for human life, you surrender your own humanity. Absolutely. Absolutely. If fucking, even when Henry Kissinger dies, you shouldn't even be celebrating that,
Yeah, so just
even though he's like 100 and by rights, he's only alive because of the adrenochrome, but even then,
It's okay to laugh now because he's still alive.
Tragedy. Everyone has children and parents and brothers and sisters and whatever. You should never celebrate the death of anyone.
Yeah, so everyone, wherever you are watching the Barracks, whether it's on YouTube or X, soon to be Rumble, take a little moment of silence for absolute badass Yevgeny Prigozhin, who let's remember him by let us remember him in his own words.
Вот, собственно говоря, смысл, как говорится в пословице, лучше умереть героем, чем жить. Вот, собственно говоря, смысл, как говорится.
I can't share the English translation of that in audio form. But Yevgeny Prigozhin,
he died a hero.
Yeah, he died a hero, and not as a cigarette.
And that's, remember, I mean, the front line of Bakhmut. Look, I mean, you can say what you want about Prigozhin, you can say what you want about Wagner, but we're talking about thousands of people that laid down their lives, and including now Prigozhin, to fight this, this proxy war being done on the border of Russia in favor of U.S. empire and British empire and the NATO reach. That is truthfully what Prigozhin laid down his life, and the thousands of Wagner soldiers who laid down their lives. And they're fighting that same fight, that same war that a lot of our ancestors fought during the Second World War against the Nazis. So we gotta salute to them, because they're fighting a fight that some of us privileged enough will probably never see this type of bloodshed fighting for such a cause.
Yeah, we'll make sure to keep y'all posted on the details. Always make sure to follow us on x.com @thebarrackslive. As we get details, we'll make sure to share them with you, but also make sure to join in on the conversation. Follow us on Discord, link in the description. I posted it in the comments of the Twitter live as well, because so at some point the live has to end, but we still want to keep the conversation going. Let us know what you think. But we are 10 minutes away, 12 minutes away from the pre-recorded interview between Tucker Carlson and Trump. So I think now would be a good time to pivot to talk about all the latest details on the Trump arrest going on tomorrow, the absolute savage move to drop a pre-recorded interview 5 minutes before the debates go live. I don't know. I think Trump is the candidate in this race, but I'm just one guy.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at this whole thing, it's a giant fuck you for both Tucker Carlson and Donald Trump to Fox News and the Republican establishment, I mean, part of me is just excited to watch it for that reason alone. Forget the questions that Tucker's going to pose to Trump, which I believe we are going to play that little trailer that Tucker put up beforehand, correct, Terai? I believe that's going to be referenced. Some of these questions, I mean, one in particular, I'm very excited to see what the answer is to. So,
is it the Epstein one?
You might have. Let's not spoil it. Let's play the trailer.
Yeah, watch the show. The trailer's hype, dude. I'm actually pretty excited.
I haven't seen it yet. Is it this minute and a half long trailer?
Showed on screen. I'll be able to confirm with you.
It's probably the most recent post on Tucker's.
Yeah.
Probably.
On Tucker's Twitter.
So we have, here's what's happening at 8:55 with Tucker in front of some black curtains. And
Yeah,
that's it.
That's the one before. That's the one right there.
All right.
Yeah, this is it.
Why aren't you at the Fox News debate tonight in Milwaukee?
Well, a lot of people have been asking me that.
When you say there are people on stage who shouldn't be running for president, who do you mean? Whatever happened to Mike Pence? He's out there attacking you. What is that? Do you think Epstein killed himself sincerely? Do you think we're moving towards civil war?
Yo!
Good to have you at Bedminster. It's very nice.
I love it. You're saying they stole it from you last time. Why wouldn't they do the same this time?
Oh, well, they'll try. They're going to be trying. Mitch McConnell is trying to get senators to impeach me. Crooked Joe Biden is so bad. He's the worst president in the history of our country. I don't think he's going to make it to the gate, but, you never know.
It started with protests against you, then it moved to impeachment twice,
Right?
And now indictment. Are you worried that they're going to try and kill you? Why wouldn't they try and kill you, honestly?
They're savage animals. They are people that are sick.
So do you think it's possible that there's open conflict?
I can say this. There's a level of passion that I've never seen. There's a level of hatred that I've never seen, and that's probably a bad combination. We're doing this interview, but we'll get bigger ratings using this crazy forum that you're using than probably the debate.
Yeah, well, Tucker's off the leash, man.
Yo, can we talk about how much better Tucker and Trump are on this website than Elon Musk is at his own website, trying to do the same thing with Meatball Ron DeSantis? Can we talk about just the fact that Tucker Carlson and Trump, like Trump's return to Twitter on Tucker Carlson's Twitter show, so well timed that it's, and on the eve of the presidential primary debates, what a long play, what a way to have this like cinematic payoff.
And I'm really, like I said earlier, I'm very hyped for Tucker Carlson, right? I mean, it was already a fuck you to Fox News, but this is the biggest fuck you. Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, all the mainstream media has been begging Donald Trump, oh, will you please do the Republican debates? We really think you'd be good. Oh, come on, you can do the debates. And then Trump is just like, fuck you, I'm going to Tucker. Like,
yeah, I kind of wish
this
he was doing the debates, though. I kind of wish he was doing the debates, just because I want that 2016 Republican primary energy.
What I want? I want a debate that's on X. Why isn't it that the independent news sources aren't doing debates, right? Screw the mainstream media. They're dead. I mean, the boomers, whether we like the fact or not, they're dying off. That's the main part of who watches Fox News, MSNBC, and CNN. They're dying news networks. Let the independent media have a crack at it. Let's have the independent media actually host the debates, the Republican and the Democratic primary debates. Like, enough with this dead medium.
Yeah, people talk about the dead internet theory, but nobody wants to talk about the dead CNN theory.
Oh, they're all spooks. That's exactly what I said, Screws and Bell. I said all I want is to see him call Chris Christie a fat ass to his face. That's all I want for Christmas.
All I want for Christmas is Trump to call Chris Christie fat to his face.
Yeah, pretty much.
Look, I want this too, but it should happen on independent media. That's my only point.
At the end of the day, Trump's right. Just like, when you're 50 points ahead of second place, to grace the debate stage is really only to waste your time, to validate the losers. Like the people who have already lost the debate before it's even started. It doesn't matter how entertaining it is. It doesn't matter if he like sweeps the floor with them for an hour and doesn't let anyone talk. He's still justifying this dead. Yeah, he's still justifying the dead legacy media, and everyone on that stage.
Who the fuck is Borgum? Who the fuck is Hutchinson? Who are these people? Why are they allowed on the debates? I've never heard of these people in my life. And they get to be on a debate stage with Trump? Like, fuck out of here. Just let the janitor up there at that point. Like, why not?
Notable absence from Kanye West on the debate stage.
Yeah, true.
Look,
yeah. How is Borgum allowed on the debate stage and not Kanye? I promise you.
Okay, I'm going to be real with you guys. I have more legitimacy to be on that debate stage than this Borgum fellow. Who is Borgum?
Is this? I didn't even care enough to look it up. I just
his Civil War last name.
Burgum. I don't know. Hutchinson. Yeah. Who the fuck are these people? Like, yeah. Why, dude? Ye is gonna get more votes than fucking Hutchinson. Ye should be up there.
Borgum and Hutchinson sounds like a Civil War era law office.
Borgum and Hutchinson reclaiming your slaves from the free states.
Look, I'm gonna say this for the YouTube algorithm before we even start doing this. There will be a point that Donald Trump talks about particular elections, okay? We're just putting that out there. We are only covering the news. We are not endorsing what Donald Trump says whatsoever.
Yeah, considering like this interview is going to be, I'm gonna place a wager that it's gonna be more watched than days. Trump's return to Twitter.
Which state?
That is just covering the news. What state?
Yep.
What?
My sources are telling me Borgum is a governor, but I'm curious which state.
A little bird told me.
You have Milkman checking his sources live.
I'm plugged in. I'm plugged into the Matrix at all times. I'm like Ozymandias with all the television screens.
The reason Milkman doesn't have a camera is he doesn't want you seeing you going through a Rolodex. I'm just like,
I don't want you seeing my giant cat monster pet.
Flipping through a Palm Pilot with little bifocals. Borgum.
Well,
no?
I'm just gonna say Yankee would have 2 votes, and I'm not sure if Borgum would have that. So I think Yankee.
I can guarantee I would have more than 2 votes. If I ran for president, I am guaranteeing that I'll get at least 150 votes.
At least 2
150.
At least 2 votes to rub together.
You think you could match Harambe?
That one's hard. Harambe got a lot of votes.
He did get a lot of votes.
Rest in peace, Harambe.
Yeah, that was when That was a turning point, I think. We didn't realize it at the time. All right, we're at 8:54. We're about ready to
We got
go.
a minute.
I'm refreshing the page. I am wearing out my mouse pad.
Oh, you think is he gonna make us wait? Is he gonna make us wait till 9?
That's probably something he has like scheduled on. Like he probably like posted it and scheduled it long beforehand.
Yeah, I mean, especially being it's like probably like about a 2-hour interview, you know, because their whole goal is basically to make sure that no one turns into Fox News. I love the fuck you. I love it.
Yeah, it is a baller move. I gotta hit the head before we get started. I'm gonna take 5.
All right. I will continue refreshing the page while we're waiting for this interview to drop. Another reminder for y'all to like and subscribe to the Yankee Tanky on YouTube where you're watching this. Like the video, leave a comment. If you're one of the 2 people watching from my YouTube channel, at Hard Targets Intel, like the stream, leave a comment. We appreciate you for tuning in. If you're watching on Twitter, follow the page. We're at 102 followers. You know, we're in the triple digits. Now help us get
Absolutely.
help get us to the quadruple digits. First to 500, that's the next milestone. 500, then to 1,000 and beyond.
Let's also make sure you are in the Discord, the Barracks Discord, because let me tell you, this is where we, the people, mobilize the people's information war.
Yeah, Discord link in the chat. If you haven't already clicked it, click it now, you son of a gun. Let's see. No, damn you, Tucker Carlson.
Tucker lied to me. No.
Yeah, he does. His audience is predominantly, or was while he was on cable TV, yes.
There it is.
It's only 46 minutes long.
It's not going to be as long as the stream as we thought.
And we're already at 1 hour and 5 minutes in. This won't be as long as our Twitter Spaces debate night. If it's only 5 minutes, unless there's a lot to unpack at the end. Unless in the last 5 minutes, Yevgeny Prigozhin pops into the screen to declare that he is indeed alive and he is forming the military wing of the MAGA movement.
Woo! Wagner and MAGA merge.
Ron. We here at the barracks. Ron Swanson Stalin says, "Hit the head, milkman. You a vet?" Is that a phrase more used than I give it credit for? Yeah, no, we are all well versed in machismo here in the chat. This is just how we talk. Exactly. Non-military sailors say head as well.
Let's be clear. No one knows who Milkman actually is.
Yeah.
None of us. He is the people's deep state.
Some say that the Milkman is a conglomerate of super AI programs that leaped off of a thumb drive and into the greater internet to take over the information
Nicholas
war in America.
Castro. Does Yankee want to backtrack his absurd claims of Andrew Tate a few weeks back? I don't know which claims you're referring to.
Yeah, we make a lot of correct claims on this show.
I mean, did I say something positive in the past about Andrew Tate? Sure. I'm still stand by any general positive things I might have said. But mostly Andrew Tate is a boner socialist. And, what else am I going to say about the dude? I mean, fuck him and his effectively prostitution ring. What do you want from me?
All right, I'm back. You guys weren't plotting against me, were you?
We were merely fleshing out your origin story.
I can go back and watch the VOD.
You can. We were just saying the fact that no one knows who you actually are, Malcolm. No one knows.
It's gonna stay that way. I'll tell you that.
Right. So yeah, I was just saying that the interview has dropped. It's only 45 minutes long. We thought it was going to be this grand. He spent more time talking with Andrew and Tristan Tate than he did with the former presidents of the United States. I'm a little hurt.
Well, let's see. Let's dive in.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Let me know how the audio is, because if we ever want to interrupt it or something, if it's a little loud, then it might be worth like having it at like 75% volume or something. So let me know. Okay.
It's debate night, but we're not in Milwaukee. Mr. President, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Why aren't you at the Fox News debate tonight in Milwaukee?
Well, a lot of people have been asking me that, and many people said you shouldn't do them, but you see the polls have come out.
Audio good?
And I'm leading by
Up
50
a little
and
bit.
60 points. And, some of them are at 1 and 0 and 2. And I'm saying, do I sit there for an hour or 2 hours, whatever it's going to be, and get harassed by people that shouldn't even be running for president? Should I be doing that? And a network that isn't particularly friendly to me, frankly. They were backing Ron DeSanctimonious like crazy, and now they've given up on him. I mean, it's a lost cause. It's reminded me very much of 2016. In 2016, I went through the same stuff and had to fight them all the way, and then they became very friendly after I won, or just about when I was winning. But I just felt it would be more appropriate not to do the debate. I don't think it's right to do it. If you're leading by 50, 60, I have one problem leading by 70 points, and I'm saying, why am I doing it? And I'm going to have 8 people, 10 people, whoever made the debate. I don't know how many it is, but I'm going to have all these people screaming at me, shouting questions at me, all of which I love answering, I love doing, but it doesn't make sense to do them. So I've taken a pass, as you probably noticed.
I did. I'm grateful that you did. It's interesting, though, because you spent a lot of your career in television.
Yeah.
You had a top show in television on NBC. But you don't feel the need now running for president to do television, obviously. Do you think television is declining?
Well, according to a poll that I guess we just saw, it just came out where it's down like 30, 35%. But I think they were referring to cable. I think cable's down because it's lost credibility. MSNBC, or as they say, MSDNC, is so bad. It's so wrong what they write and what they do and what they say. It's fake news, as I said. I think I came up with that term. I hope I did, because it's a good one. It's not tough enough anymore. It's corrupt news. Really what you do is call it corrupt news, but somehow that doesn't play as nicely. But it is corrupt news. So you have MSNBC and you have CNN, who's absolutely doing no ratings at all. I mean, they're dead. But they're doing none because they don't have credibility. They really don't have credibility. Fox is way down, as you know. And the good old days are long ago. I will say this, it could come back, but they just don't have a lot of credibility, Tucker. You know that perhaps better than anybody. I think it was a terrible move getting rid of you. You were number 1 on television, and all of a sudden we're doing this interview, but we'll get bigger ratings using this crazy forum that you're using than probably the debate or competition.
When you say there are people on stage who shouldn't,
it is. Can we take a second to just be amazed at the fact that the 2 most boomer people are making this so successful? Like this interview has only been on for like 8 minutes, and it's at over 11 million impressions.
Holy shit!
Incredible!
Wow.
That's amazing.
Also, wait, I
running
want
for
to say
president. Who do
he
you mean?
didn't. He
Well,
didn't
I don't
come
want
up
to
with
really use names,
fake
but
news.
What was that?
He didn't come up with fake news. They were the media was using that against him they were calling him fake news, and he very early on turned it around, and it stuck. That's what happened. They were saying that like Breitbart and like the people who supported him were fake news, and he turned it around on them. And there was that moment where he said to the CNN guy, "You are fake news," and that just stuck because they fucking are.
CNN, they tell me I'm fake news, but quite honestly, folks, let's be real. They are the fake news. Believe me.
Yep, that's how it happened in 2016. Yeah.
All right, let's continue.
Didn't matter too much. A guy like I call him Ada Hutchinson. It's Asa, but I call him Ada.
Why do you call him Ada?
I could tell you, but I don't want to get myself in a little trouble. But
Wait,
he's
what?
weak and pathetic, and he was. I never understood the guy. Never knew him. He was the governor of Arkansas.
You were right. He's a governor.
Guy. I don't know how he. But that state is such.
Milkman, you were right. He's a governor.
Yeah.
Arkansas.
A great state. The people are so incredible.
Yes.
In that state, and they love me, and I love them. How does this guy get elected governor of Arkansas? But he's nasty always, and has been. A guy like Chris Christie, the guy left with a 8%, think of it, 8% approval rating in New Jersey. Now he's running for president, and he runs solely on the basis, oh, let's get Trump. He's like a savage maniac. He's like a lunatic. And that's all he talks about. His poll numbers are very, very low. He's about 2%.
What's he like? You know him well.
No, I've been friendly with him over the years, but I couldn't give him a job because I just never trusted him very much. I was just never one of his people that really trusted him. I never gave him the job. And that's one of the reasons he feels so hurt and so betrayed. And I understand that. I really do. I understand it. But I never gave him, he wanted to be different things. He was looking at different elements of the administration. And I decided I didn't want to do it. And now I'm glad I did, because you see, but we had some great people. I had great people. We'll have even better people if we do this, because now I know Washington. Before I didn't know Washington. But guys like Bill Barr were terrible. I mean, they were, I would say, Bushies. I say that with respect to the Bush family, but they were Bushies, and it doesn't work out for us.
It was clear. This is kind of far afield, but it was just interesting. I read Barr's account of his time. He wrote a book about it,
right?
His autobiography, and in it he lies about Jeffrey Epstein's death. Clearly lies.
Just reporting on the news,
y'all. Do you think Epstein killed himself sincerely?
Just reporting on the news.
I don't know. I will say that, he was a fixture in Palm Beach.
Yeah.
I don't know what Barr said about it either. I have no idea what he said. What did he say? He killed himself, probably?
He said he killed himself, and that they were going to do this investigation. They never did the investigation. It's never been public.
Well,
and they hid it. And why are they doing that? And clearly Barr knew. But why would Bill Barr be covering up the death of Jeffrey Epstein?
Bill Barr didn't do an investigation on the election fraud either. Okay. He said he did, and he pretended he did, but he didn't. McSwain, the U.S. attorney in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, said Barr just wouldn't let him do it. It was crazy. Barr became so petrified, so frightened of being impeached. They were going to impeach him. I don't know if you remember it.
Yeah.
It's not a big moment in history. But they said, we're going to impeach. They play a much rougher game, the left, the lunatics. And they were going to impeach Bill Barr, and he was petrified. Now, how do you not get impeached? Don't do any of this stuff. But he didn't do the job there. I don't know what he did with Epstein, but possibly he didn't.
Do you think it's possible that Epstein was killed?
Oh, sure, it's possible. I mean, I don't really believe. I think he probably committed suicide. He had a life with, beautiful homes and beautiful everything, and he all of a sudden he's incarcerated and not doing very well. I would say that he did, but there are those people. There are many people. I think you're one of them, right? But a lot of people think that he was killed. He knew a lot on a lot of people.
He was killed.
You think so?
I think the closer you look, I'm not a conspiracy person at all. I believe everything I hear. But yeah, the closer you look into it,
just tired of love leading him. Just tired of leading him there, and just like he was killed. Okay,
Tucker is off the leash, dude.
Let's really just be real. After Donald Trump, Tucker Carlson has to be the man who runs for president. There's no one more real than him. He's literally more real than Donald Trump, and we can see that in this interview itself.
Yeah, he is.
Dude, I really wish Trump would double down on QAnon. I wish he would, like the last scene in Iron Man, he would just be like, "I am Q," and then blast off through the ceiling. But it's just my fantasy.
I know. We're never gonna get 2016 again.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, the
He's-
Attorney General of the
he's-
United States,
he
your Attorney
became
General,
like a
clearly
politician.
lied about the Epstein death.
Yeah,
And
he was.
Why?
He was certainly. It wasn't well done. They had no cameras. They had no anything. Everybody was sleeping, and a case could be made. Look, I'm not going to get involved in it, but I can tell you a case could be made either way. But it certainly wasn't the most
Hey, wait, what
well-run
does he mean
place.
it wasn't
So the
well
reason I'm asking-
done? Wait, did you catch that?
What?
Said it wasn't well done. If it was a suicide, well, it was well done because he's dead. But no, he said it wasn't well done. Like, he knows, dude. He knows. He's just being a fucking politician. It wasn't well done because there's too many clues.
He killed himself with far too much evidence.
Yeah.
It's so blatantly obvious. We all know what Epstein did not kill himself. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this shit out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
So that's
too
how
many
Trump,
people. Too many people in Trump's orbit were fucking at Little St. James, probably. So that's why he's dodging like this.
Yeah, and I guess we consider it a softball, but like you said, he is playing politician right now. He is getting arrested tomorrow, so.
Well, yeah, because even this is too much.
Yeah, so that I guess we have to consider that. Anything he says can and will be used against him to Epstein him when he's arrested. While he's being fingerprinted.
Yeah, I know.
I
wish
the
he would
cameras
double
will go off
down, but it's just not realistic because, yeah, they will just fucking kill him like they killed Epstein.
So,
And that might be one of the questions being asked here by Tucker Carlson. So
he is gonna ask that from the trailer. We know he's gonna ask that. So
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. Let's continue.
Asking you is, I'm looking at the trajectory since 2015 when you got into politics,
Yeah.
For real, and then won. It started with protests against you, massive protests,
Right.
organized protests by the left, and then it moved to impeachment twice,
Right.
and now indictment. I mean, the next stage is violence. Are you worried that they're going to try and kill you? Why wouldn't they try and kill you?
There it is.
Honestly,
There it is.
They're savage animals. They are people that are sick, really sick. You have great people in the Democrat Party. You have great people that are Democrats. Most of the people in our country are fantastic, and I'm representing everybody. I'm not just Republicans or conservatives. I represent everybody. I'm the president of everybody. But I've seen what they do. I've seen the lengths that they go to when they make up the Russia. When that's exposed and they go down, and Barr should have gone after them, and other people should have gone after. And they did very late because the Durham report came out. It was fairly good. It could have been a lot tougher, I guess, but it was fairly good. But it explained how corrupt it was. I'll tell you who did a great job was the Inspector General Horowitz. He did a phenomenal report. You didn't have to go to Durham. He did it on Comey and on, I guess, McCabe and some others. And it was a vicious, it was basically a true report, how bad they are. But these people are sick people. These are people that I think they hate our country. You want to know the truth. When you see open borders, when you see these policies that they have, and so many other things, it's so sad to see. We have a country that's very fragile right now. I've never seen, I will say, look, I ran in 16, which was 15, but I ran in 16, election in 16, and there was tremendous spirit. In 20, there was even more spirit. We got millions and millions more votes. It wasn't even a contest. People said, well, what do you think of 20? I said, we did much better. We did. You got to base it on the number of votes. We got many more votes in 20 than we did in 16. But the election was rigged. It was a rigged election.
Pause the video real quick.
And with COVID, they used COVID to cheat in a lot of different.
Just repeating for the YouTube algorithms. We are only reporting on the news. Do not flag this channel. I swear to God, do not flag this channel. That is all.
Yeah, we're currently Yeah, currently reporting on the biggest event of the night. We're 20 minutes in to the Tucker Carlson interview at 30 million impressions on X.com.
Wow.
So how are you gonna flag us for just covering the biggest event of the week?
Wow. I saw a guy inside Fox told him that they are not allowed to talk about this at all. They're not allowed to report on this interview. They're not allowed to even say Tucker Carlson's name because it's like a competition. So, but 30 million impressions. I mean, damn, they're really shooting themselves.
Yeah, Milk, your
in the
audio
foot.
is cutting in and out. You might want to try to log
Fox
out and log
News.
back in.
Oh, yeah, I might be getting throttled. I'll
Yeah, Milkman definitely getting throttled. Yeah, this when you're 20 minutes into an interview and you have 30 million impressions, that's gonna X already takes up a lot of data on the phone. Yeah, it's a big app.
It really is. It is really an everything app now.
I'm excited. When we become registered as as official journalists, not just getting a blue check, but like we have to start paying like $1,000 a month so that we can get like the Barracks logo next to our names as well as like verified news sources. Oh man. Oh, okay. There's Milkman.
Let's try to get his audio fixed.
I think I'm down to one bar. I think I'm getting throttled. The globalists don't want me reacting to Donald Trump and Tucker Carlson. I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I don't know if I'm gonna make it through the whole stream. No,
well,
it's actually because I don't have Wi-Fi. That's the actual reason.
Yeah.
Well, let's see how far we can get, and we'll keep playing.
Yep.
And things, and we have so much on it. It's like so easy. But we had judges that didn't want to look. We had people didn't want to get involved. They could he's a conspiracy theorist if you say anything about the election. But I have never seen spirit like there is right now. Even coming down here, just the people on the road that are just absolutely going crazy. And the reason is, I think they like me, and I know they love my policies. I hope they like me too. A lot of people say they don't like me, but they like my policies. I think they like me. But I have never seen spirit like it is right now. And the reason is because crooked Joe Biden is so bad. He's the worst president in the history of our country. I don't think he's going to make it to the gate, but you never know. But he's a corrupt person, so corrupt that I took the name off Hillary. I don't do two people at one time. I took the crooked Hillary and I retired the name. That was a good day for her. I bet she was very happy. And I used it for Joe because it's crooked Joe. But Joe is really...
You don't think he's going to make it to November of 2024?
Well, I think he's worse mentally than he is physically. And physically, he's not exactly a triathlete or any kind of an athlete. You look at him, he can't walk to the helicopter. He walks.
Dude, this fucking
can't
guy.
lift his feet out of the grass. It's only 2 inches at the White House, right? That's not a lot. But you watch him, and it looks like he's walking on toothpicks. And then you see him in the beach where he can't lift the chair. Those chairs are meant to be light, right? They're like 2 ounces. You lift them up. He can't lift the chair. He can't walk to the chair. And I don't know what they're doing with the beach. This beach is seeming to play a big role, but they love picking.
Yeah.
I will say
Trump in his element.
I will say that is the kind of energy. If you just hearing him say that on a debate stage to people, I don't want him to validate anyone else on that debate stage, but that would be so good. Just like, and in the same room as Biden. Listen, he's walking on toothpicks. Oh man, just bullying.
Well, I'm gonna disagree. I think he should have gone to the debate. I don't know. 2016 Trump would have gone to the debate and dunked on all these people.
2016 Trump.
That Epstein was really disappointing, man.
2016 Trump had everything to prove, as he was not yet battle tested in office. The MAGA movement.
Yeah,
was
maybe
behind
Borgum
him.
is.
But he
fucking Borgum.
He needed to. Yeah, if
Maybe
you're on a debate
Borgum
stage with
is
someone named
like wiping the floor with them right now, talking about QAnon and Epstein Island and Little St. James. Maybe Borgum is the guy, and we're missing it. You never
Yeah,
know.
if you're on the same stage as someone named Borgum who has 0% of the vote, yeah, that's not the right place for you to be. You've misread.
Yeah, I mean, I do get it, but just this is him in his element. I mean, I want to see him say this shit to people's faces.
Man, let's hear some more of the roast of Joe Biden.
Yeah,
Pictures of him on the
target,
beach. I think
to
he
be
looks
honest.
terrible on the beach.
Right.
Looks terrible on the beach.
Skinny legs.
Well, he can't walk through the sand. You know, sand.
They've all been kind of softball questions at this point, or not, or the softball answers to questions that you can't ask on mainstream on legacy media. But
How hard is it, dude? I'm sorry. How hard is it to say Epstein didn't kill himself? Everybody knows Epstein didn't kill himself. How hard is it to say that? Whatever.
Yeah. I guess when you're under as much legal scrutiny as Trump, and they'll send you to jail for citing an insurrection that you didn't do.
Well, let's be real,
so.
Mill. Who on the Republican debate stage right now would answer anything any different than Donald Trump? I guarantee if Vivek, Borg or whatever the fuck his name is, Chris Christie.
I don't even know what this guy
any
looks
of these
like. He's our new
motherfuckers.
punching bag. Poor Borgum, dude. He never did anything.
Exactly.
Just because he has a dumb
he can't
name.
really do too
You're
much.
just
The guy's
dunking on
governor
this
of
guy.
Arkansas.
No, Hutchinson
Like, you
is
can't-
governor of Arkansas.
Oh, okay, wrong one. Okay, well, I mean, we don't even know what governor, what's governor of what state
Anybody
he
could.
is.
Well, Teray, you're on the computer. You should Google it. Well, you got the Trump thing. We don't even care.
Google Doug.
He's obviously an idiot. His name is Borgum.
Yeah,
I'm not even going to give him the decency to call him Borgum. He's just Borg.
Borg. The Borg.
I don't want to pull too much focus from the interview, but yeah, just Google Doug Borgum. He looks like if Matthew McConaughey's face was made of a scrotum. And he is crippled.
Oh, he's I don't
he's
know if I can say
crippled.
that. I can't say that.
Dude, wait. Why are the Republicans like tailing the Democrats with this like woke, the weakest must be elevated shit? Like, all right, let's let Trump. I want to hear more of Trump's roast of Sleepy Joe.
And
North Dakota. That's not even a real state, dude. That's a wasteland. There's like 30 people there. Come on.
And it's not that
North
easy to walk
Dakota.
through. But when he walks through it, he can't walk through the sand. And there's somebody in there that thinks he looks fabulous at the beach. I think he looks horrible at the beach. Plus, the beach doesn't represent what a president's supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be working. You're supposed to be getting us out of that horrible, horrible war that we're very much involved in with Russia and Ukraine. You could do that. You could do that very easily. I believe you could do that. I don't believe he could do it because he's just incompetent. But that's a war that should end immediately, not because of one side or the other, because hundreds of thousands of people are being killed. Can you imagine you're in an apartment house and rockets are going into that building and blowing it up and knocking it down? And why should anybody, human beings, these are human, whether they're Russian or Ukrainian or whatever they are, it's got to be stopped. And it can be stopped very easily. It would have never started. If I were president, it would have never started.
So back to Biden, I'm interested. So you think he's failing? He obviously is failing. I think it's clear to everybody. But that would make Kamala Harris the candidate?
Well, not really. I mean, I guess they'd have maybe a free-for-all. A lot of people say she has to remain for certain reasons, the candidate. She has to. I don't think that's true, actually. I don't think that other people would stand for it. She has some bad moments. Her moments are almost as bad as his. I think his are worse, actually.
Yeah.
But
she seems pretty senile, too. She
speaks in rhyme. It's weird. It's weird. but she has bad moments. And
In rhyme? What do you?
well, the way she
Speaks
talks, the
in
bus will go
rhyme.
here and then the bus will go there because that's what buses do. And it's weird. The whole thing is weird. This is not a president of the United States future. And I think they probably have some kind of a primary and other people will get involved.
Newsom, right? I mean,
Could be. I mean, I always got along well with him, believe it or not, but could be him, could be somebody else. He's got a big
Hillary.
load on his shoulders because you look at California,
Hillary's
what's
coming
happened.
back.
But I don't know if the American people really, the people that vote for him, I don't even know if they care. You look at so many of the things that are going on and people don't seem to be, in the old days, if you had a bad record, it meant a lot. Today, if you have a bad record, it doesn't really mean anything. He looks good. He's a nice looking guy, speaks well. But Biden, every time you watch him talking, it's like he's walking on eggs. You're waiting for him to collapse. And he almost always does. And I got to know the leaders of all of the countries, essentially, but the big ones. And the bigger, the tougher the leader. It's like sort of, I guess maybe that's the way it's supposed to be. But I got to know President Xi of China and Putin and Kim Jong-un, North Korea. Did a great job with North Korea, kept us out of a nuclear war. We would have 40,000 dead soldiers right now. They'd drop a nuke right on top of the military base. But we have 40,000 soldiers over there. And I did great. I got along with him great. That's a positive. The press said, he said nice things about Kim Jong-un. I also said horrible things at the beginning. Horrible enough that he wanted to talk. And we talked and we met in Singapore. We met actually twice. And we had unbelievable meetings. I know him very well. We were in great shape with him.
What do you think he and Xi and Putin think of Biden?
I think they can't believe it. I think they probably say this is some kind of a system. They had great respect for our country. They respected me. They had great respect for our country when I was there. Every one of them. Look, if you go to North Korea, you take a look at what happened. The Olympics was dead. South Korea spent billions on the Olympics. Nobody was going to go. They didn't want to get blown up. They called me and they said, we are going to let the Olympics proceed. This is North Korea. I said, you should go into the Olympics. Put your athletes in. It wasn't like, they were big on athletes because,
famine.
But they went in and they actually participated. And within about 2 days, the entire thing was sold out. And if it wasn't me, that would have never happened. But I got along very well with him, and that's a positive thing. He does have massive nuclear
Trump's
power.
going to reunify.
And if Hillary would have gotten in, or if the Obama thought process continued, it would have been a nuclear war, absolutely, with North Korea. He was expecting to go into a war, and it would have been a nuclear war.
Pause that video, Teray.
So do you think the
MAGA communism confirmed?
Yeah, this is why we love Trump. Because he may talk shit and call him little Rocket Man or whatever, but what he doesn't do this fucking human rights bullshit where it's oh, the babies, the poor children are being genocided. He doesn't do that.
They're throwing
bullshit.
the babies out of the incubators.
Exactly. He doesn't do that bullshit. He's just he's like a businessman. He's trying to make deals, and he just treats them like another country. And that's why they can't abide by him. That's the real problem with Trump, is that he just treats Xi and Putin and Kim Jong-un like leaders of countries that he can make deals with, as opposed to 3 Hitlers that are throwing babies out of incubators and need to be liquidated, which is what all these neocons like Victoria Nuland view them as. That's why he's that's the core of it. That's why they hate him so much, because he's not a fucking psycho who wants to dominate the whole world and have an American century.
That's also recognized based.
Yeah.
Like Xi Jinping, Kim Jong-un, Vladimir Putin. These 3 leaders recognize Trump as based, and Trump recognized them as based. And that's what we're missing in this country right now. We need, a based president again. Let's make the presidency based again.
And let's make sure to share this stream so we can get more people in the room. Where are those comments, y'all? We want you reacting live just as much as we are. Let's get back into the video.
The rest of the world
The
looks on at
axis of
Biden and
base.
thinks someone else has got to be running the government.
What'd you say?
I just
Right
reading
here.
his comment. The axis of based.
The axis of based.
Well, somebody else has to be. I don't think he's capable of doing anything. Look, when I debated him, I said, how come, and this was in front of probably not a friend of yours, Chris Wallace. He was the moderator.
Not a friend.
I said, why is it he wants to be Mike, but he doesn't have the talent? It's one of those
bitchy little man.
He wanted to be his father, but he didn't have the talent of his father was great. His
He's a
father,
little fussy man.
his father interviewed me in 60 Minutes. It was actually a 10. Can you believe it?
I totally.
I may
His
have got-
father had talent, at
No,
least.
I may have been the only guy that he gave a good 60 Minutes to. He was rough.
Really?
His father was tough. He was great, though. He was great at what he did. But Chris Wallace was so upset. He was guarding this guy who wouldn't do a show, by the way. He wouldn't do. I figured I didn't mind Chris Wallace because Biden wouldn't do a show. And it was very obvious. He kept asking him and asking, but he wouldn't do the show. So I figured he's got to like me. But he came from a different planet. But remember when I asked the question, why is it that the mayor of Moscow's wife is allowed to give you $3.5 million? Don't forget, that was brought up. Now it's brought up all the time, but that was brought up by me long before anyone ever heard of it. I said, the mayor of Moscow's wife giving you $3.5 million. What did you do to deserve $3.5 million? To Biden. And Chris Wallace said, this has nothing to do with the debate. I mean, he
got in the way of the question.
No, it was crazy. And I said, well, wait a minute. He got $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife. Now, people forget that, but if you go back and take a look, you will see. And Chris Wallace didn't want me to ask that question. I said, I think it's a very appropriate question. It turned out to be much more appropriate than people thought.
Amazing. So do you have a preference in, assuming you're the Republican nominee and all goes as you plan it to go, do you have a preference in who you run against?
In many ways, I'd love to run against him because his record's so bad. It's still horrible when you look at inflation and everything else, but others also have very bad records. I mean, California's a bad record. So, should it be Gavin or should it be somebody else? When I look at San Francisco, what's happened to that incredible city? That was one of the greatest cities in the world just a short while ago. And now it's very sad when you look at it. Los Angeles, every city practically, all the Democrat-run cities, Republican-run cities are doing very nicely because they arrest people when you have crimes. And they don't go after political candidates because they think it's good. I mean, it's been amazing. My poll numbers are the highest I've ever had. But because people understand it.
Can I just ask you, that gets back to my original question. So if the protest didn't work, you got elected anyway. Yeah. Impeachment didn't work twice, obviously. Indictment is not working. Your poll numbers go up. When they raided Mar-a-Lago in August of last year, your numbers went up. They can indict you 20 times and you're not gonna lose the Republican primary because of that.
Well, so it makes it look even more ridiculous. I mean, the 4 indictments, and maybe there'll be more. I don't know. These people are crazy.
But they're counterproductive. So if you chart it out, it's an escalation, is what I'm saying. Yeah. So what's next after, try to put you in prison for the rest of your life? That's not working. So don't they have to kill you now?
I think the people of
just
our
really
country,
trying to push that question.
Don't get enough credit for how smart they are. And I'm not sure I would have said this 10 years ago, but they get it. They really get it. When somebody gets indicted, your poll numbers go down. When somebody gets indicted, you announce, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be leaving to spend time with my family and to fight for the rest of my life for this stuff. But you're out of politics. I got indicted 4 times.
Yeah, he's dodging
trivia, nonsense.
A lot.
Bullshit. Yeah. It's all bullshit.
I'm sure he's aware.
It's
That's why he won't
when...
say Epstein killed himself.
I mean, you have RFK who wouldn't shut up about it for a week saying, they killed my uncle, they killed my dad, now they won't give me Secret Service detail. This is a conspiracy to put my life at risk. And you remember that week where he just wouldn't shut up about his security?
Well, they did kill his uncle and his dad, to be fair.
They did, and yeah, so I mean, yeah, he has a legitimate reason to say it. I'm just saying that you can talk about it. There's no reason to dodge these softball questions. This.
He also didn't mention RFK when he was talking about the Democratic nominations. He just talked about, he talked about Gavin Newsom, who is not even running, but he's not talking about RFK, I think he's picking up steam. He definitely lost with that whole Zionist bootlicking episode. But he's more popular than Gavin Newsom right now. But
Right.
Trump's dodging him.
This
Well,
interview
I mean,
was
yeah,
like tailor made, and it was just.
Trump doesn't want to have to challenge RFK Jr. Like, let's be clear. If somehow miraculously RFK Jr. was the Democratic nominee, Trump actually would have to really work to actually win the presidency.
Well,
Like-
RFK Jr. represents Trump's Achilles heel, which is vaccines. I mean,
Yeah,
almost like it was planned, but yeah, RFK Jr. is like the ultimate anti-vaccine guy. And you remember when Trump was in, I think, Alabama and said you should all take the vaccine, he got booed. So this is his biggest disconnect with his base. And I mean,
to
that's
be clear, for YouTube algorithm purposes, vaccines are safe and effective.
Oh, yes. Safe and effective.
All right,
Vaccines acted alone, whatever.
all right. Before you go off on a tangent to get us flagged, let's continue into
Sorry,
the interview.
I'm sure that he's not saying it, but I'm sure that's who Trump is actually worried about in the Democrat camp.
Yeah.
When you look and you look at what they're doing, the boxes hoax, I'm covered by the Presidential Records Act. I'm allowed to do exactly that. He's not covered, and he's got 25 times the number of boxes, and he's got them stored in Chinatown. He's got them stored in a flimsy garage underneath his Corvette at Penn. And by the way, at Penn, he gets millions of dollars. China pays this guy millions of dollars. See, I think he's the most corrupt president we've ever had. And he also has the distinction of being the most incompetent. And I believe both. I mean, he's both incompetent and corrupt.
So
and
who
I
is running the
actually
government?
believe he's compromised because China knows so much about him. They know where the money comes from. They know where it is, who paid it, and they probably paid it. Well, they do pay Penn, and he gets $1 million. I think he takes $999,000 because keeps it a little bit under $1 million, like by $1. But he, in many ways, is a Manchurian candidate. We have a Manchurian candidate.
What?
And he's afraid to tell Russia to get out of Cuba. He's afraid to tell China to get out of Cuba. He's afraid. China now is building, think of this. China is building military installations in Cuba. The Cuban population of Miami is not too happy because they're never going to be able to go back. And you don't even hear about it. And the worst culprit is the press, the media, because
they were all vying. They were all clawing their way back on.
They were about to go back.
To go. My dad was telling me for years and years, today is the day that I hop on a spontaneous flight back to Havana, back to my old stomping ground. God, I swear.
It had the flights booked, and then the Russians started building a military base.
The Cuban Gusano lobby is second only to AIPAC in terms of its vitriol and in terms of its influence. But anyway,
Lil Marco, isn't Lil Marco one of them?
Lil Marco is one of those Gusanos. But anyway.
Normally, when I first heard that China's building.
I'm all for manifest destiny. Yeah, we should be getting all countries in another hemisphere out of this hemisphere because we should be leaders in development of Cuba and South America and all that. But China is actually building infrastructure in the Caribbean and in South America. Nobody wants to talk about France in this hemisphere or Britain. The fact that all these save the Amazon land back separatist movements.
Hell, we don't want to talk about Israel in our hemisphere either.
Oh, dude,
yeah, we can't talk about Israel.
That's what the Monroe Doctrine was about. The Monroe Doctrine existed because there was a meeting in Spain, I believe, of all these oligarchs, all these royal families and religious leaders who were planning to retake the American continent. And this was read into the congressional record in the 19th century. And it was this conspiracy to retake America. And that's why they created the Monroe Doctrine. It wasn't about fucking China. It was about these European aristocrat, incestuous elites who were pissed about 1776 and wanted to retake the continent. Monroe Doctrine did not go far enough because the British have way too much goddamn influence here and all the other royal families. That's what it was originally about. It was not about China. It was not about the Soviets. It was about these European royal families trying to retake their lost colonies. That's what the Monroe Doctrine
And
was.
let's also be real. Can we blame Latin American countries for wanting to let Russia and wanting to let China and wanting to let any other power come into their region to help develop their country after the United States spent since the banana wars? Since the fucking Chiquita banana, okay, only exists because of the banana wars. Okay, we've been doing this for over 100 years to Latin America, and then we're surprised that Nicaragua is allowing China to have the Belt and Road Initiative that build a canal, and Cuba is allowing China in to build some sort of military base or whatever, and all the other, like Venezuela wants to join the Belt and Road Initiative. Like El Salvador, I believe has also talked about trying to join the Belt and Road Initiative. I might be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure El Salvador as well, right? So you have all these Latin American countries, Brazil especially, that's part of BRICS, despite issues with Lula being in government. They're all allowing China to come in because the United States has had a campaign of extracting wealth and then turning extraction of wealth into extraction of debt in Latin America for over 100 years. They're sick of it. They want a chance to actually be free. So why are we getting mad? I mean, like, look, I'm sorry, Donald Trump. I still prefer you as a candidate, but I mean, you shouldn't care about China coming into Cuba. Instead, you should be caring about the United States butting the fuck out of Latin American affairs.
100% agreed. And we're halfway through this interview,
Right, well,
y'all. Make sure to share this stream. Because we got 25, 30 more minutes to go.
We couldn't keep these royals out of the continent. We couldn't keep them out of our own country. That was the Monroe Doctrine didn't go far enough. That's the real problem. I mean, look how much influence these people have. I mean,
through Meghan Markle,
even just like the British royals are like, yeah, Meghan Markle, exactly. Like the fact that she can talk about it being a presidential candidate and people aren't out on the streets with pitchforks means something has gone wrong.
All right,
along the way.
Let's power through this interview, y'all.
All right.
Installations in Cuba, and installations means military installations. Okay, they said just some communication. They did that on the islands with Japan. They took the island, they started this massive construction, and they told everybody, including the Japanese have to be very careful. They told everybody that this is a housing development. They're going to build a housing development. And I said, how come the runway is 20,000 feet long? Private jets need 4,000 feet. They don't need 20,000 feet. The big ones need 20,000 feet. They don't even need 20. And I looked at the runway. I said, that's the largest runway ever built, both in width and length, for housing development. There's nobody that has a plane that big that you would have a runway that's
why
that's
is
for
China
testing.
allowed to conduct imperialism in our hemisphere?
Well, yeah, and it's far beyond Cuba. It's all over South America.
Yeah, in the Caribbean.
Oh, shut up.
There's the boomer mentality picking up again. Yeah, like I said at the beginning of the stream, the two boomers.
That's like leftist language, though.
Yeah, and they're not free of it. Like I said, Trump is the best candidate so far, but that's a pretty low bar to hop over. So let's power through it.
Chinese imperialism.
Not building infrastructure and actually defending national sovereignty, so Cuba doesn't end up like Haiti. Is imperialism.
So we built a thing called the Panama Canal. We lost 35,000 people to the mosquito, malaria.
Yeah.
We lost 35,000 people building. We lost 35,000 people because of the mosquito. Vicious. They had to build under nets. It was one of the true great wonders of the world. As he said, one of the 9 wonders of the world. No, it was one of the 7. Happened a little while ago, It says 9 wonders of the world. You could make 9 wonders. He would have been better off if he stuck with the 9 and just said, yeah, I think it's 9.
Okay, Grandpa's going on a
Bro,
tangent.
what are you
7
talking
wonders of the
about?
world.
Grandpa's going on a tangent.
And you take a look at the Panama
That was
Canal. It was
Abe
such an
Simpson
incredible.
moment.
And yet Abe Simpson, yeah, back then we put an onion on my belt, which was the style at the time.
We had 7 wonders. Now there's 9. What are you saying, dude?
Walk into the corner store to get change for a quarter.
Trump is the best candidate, and yet it's a low bar sometimes,
It's a low bar. Okay, let's hope Grandpa gets back from this tangent.
Incredible engineering marvel. We sold it under Jimmy Carter. We sold it to Panama for $1. The following day, they quadrupled the amount of money that ships had to pay to get across. They didn't lose one ship. And now they've made it much bigger, and now they've widened it. They've doubled it, right? They've more than doubled it. And it's one of the most profitable things any time. It's just incredible, right? We gave it away for $1.
To the mosquito.
China now controls it.
Like
They
it's a
actually control the
Mexican
Panama Canal. They
wrestler.
run it. They control it. And we shouldn't let that happen. And
Hold
we
up,
can't
pause
let
the video,
it
pause the video.
And take it out. If I'm president, take it out.
Pause it.
Because I had a very good.
We can't pause the video for every bit.
No, but it has to happen.
I am the mosquito flying around, bringing the West Nile virus. We're gonna suck your blood.
Yeah, the
Oh my
mosquito.
God.
The mosquito has made an appearance both in Miami and in southern Texas, and has brought malaria to the United States. Like the mosquito, the masked bandit himself.
Oh,
the
yeah, I've seen
mosquito.
Voidborn.
For those of you who didn't know, if you see the mosquito, report it to your local authorities.
Just pray. If you see the mosquito, just
Relationship
pray.
with President Xi, but he
Actually, no.
respected
If
his
you see
country,
the
he
mosquito,
respected
it
me,
means he's not hunting.
and
If
he'll
he was
get out.
hunting, you wouldn't see him.
And we can't let them run the Panama Canal.
You just
we built
suddenly
the Panama
black out.
Canal. Should
So if you see the mosquito, you're safe.
It's like the
It
reverse.
means he's decided you're not a threat. If you see the mosquito, he thinks you're not a threat.
have never been given to Panama. We should have had it, but we gave it for $1. Think of it. They quadrupled in one day. They lifted the fees, which are, pretty big for these massive ships to go through, right? Rather than going around the Cape and through all the tremendous storms, such beauty, when it's beautiful stuff. But you didn't want to get caught in those storms. Those were storms that wiped out the biggest ships. And we go through the Panama Canal. We built it. And we gave it away for $1. Think of that. How stupid are we? We have done the stupidest things.
Oh, my
in
man
this
is
country.
rambling.
And now we have a president that can't put two sentences together. Can't speak, can't walk, can't talk. I don't think he gets to the starting gate, but these people do miracles. I mean, he ran out of his basement, and you got away with that one because of COVID, so he sort of got away with it. They cheated on the election.
Yeah, this is I have the clip pulled up here just because if y'all don't know what I'm referencing with the Abe Simpson moment here, yeah, I'm gonna stop sharing this interview for a second. We're gonna go on a tangent ourselves since we have to stop we have to stop for every bit. This is we could have saved ourselves a lot of time and just watch this instead of watching the interview. Just watch this clip from The Simpsons.
One trick is to tell them stories that don't go anywhere. Like the time I caught the ferry over to Shelbyville, I needed a new heel for my shoe. So I decided to go to Morganville, which is what they call Shelbyville in those days. So I tied an onion to my belt. which was the style at the time. Now, to take the ferry cost a nickel, and in those days, nickels had pictures of bumblebees on them. Give me 5 bees for a quarter, you'd say.
Could have saved ourselves a lot of time.
Give me 5 bees for a quarter.
We sold the Panama Canal for $1, which was a lot of money back then. That's how stupid we were. Had to go around Tierra del Fuego. Had it 3 days.
Oh my god.
This
3
is
days
the
was a lot.
This is the best candidate.
Yeah.
Like, just as we're
affairs,
making
isn't it?
fun of this man, being like, when I was your age, we didn't have Xbox, we had cardboard box, and we were damn happy about it. You know, as we're making fun of this old guy, this is the best. This is America's only hope.
Just think of it. Back in the day, we didn't have Angry Birds. We just got angry at birds. Like, come on. I
We
can't,
love you, Trump, but
it does.
oh.
Oh, you cracked
It does.
me up
It
today.
does bear. It does. It's worth
Yeah,
saying again. What a miracle it is! What a miracle it is that these two boomers put this interview together, and it's like the most watched thing of the month. What a miracle that is! Anyway, let's try to go 1 minute without bits.
But people that are very smart, but they're fascists and they're radical left lunatics, and they're destroying our country with
Okay,
the
we're
all
back on
electric
track.
cars and the windmills all over the place, which, by the way, don't work, and they're all, most of them made in China. For the most part, they're made in China. Germany a little bit, but China. But you look at what's happening to our country, even no voter ID. I mean, why don't they want voter ID? There's only one reason they don't want voter ID, because they want to cheat. I mean, who doesn't want, you know, the Democrat convention, the last one, they had voter ID that was this big. It looked like a prison card, this big on their chest. You walked in, they had your picture, your this, your fingerprint. They had everything. The most incredible voter ID I've ever seen. That was to get into the Democrat National Convention. But to get into vote, if you buy groceries, if you buy practically anything now, you have ID on a card, credit cards or otherwise. And
But that, don't you think it's racist to have to show your ID?
well, they probably say that. They use anything not to show ID, because voter ID is pretty simple. And we could go back, and we should go back to all paper ballots, voter ID, same-day voting. You know, France did it. France had mail-in ballots, and it was terrible. Anytime you have mail-in ballots, you're going to have massive cheating on your elections. Anytime, but not just the presidential election. Anytime you have...
Isn't that the whole point of them? So
Yeah.
you can
Oh,
cheat?
yeah, sure. It's their whole point. That's their whole point. They want to cheat. Yeah. They have to cheat because their policies are so bad that if they didn't cheat, they couldn't get elected. Who wants open borders? Who wants high taxes? Who wants high interest rates? Who wants to not be able to use a gas stove or have to drive an electric car, which, you know, you have a 4-hour drive, but the car only goes an hour and a half. So you have to charge it. The happiest moment for somebody in an electric car is the first 10 minutes. In other words, you get it charged, and now for 10 minutes. The unhappiest part is the next hour, because you pet.
We've moved from the Panama Canal to Panama Canal to gas stoves. The Panama Canal to voter fraud to gas stoves. Grandpa's gone on a serious tangent. What was
Matt,
the question?
You said you didn't want to do bits. I had to bite my tongue so hard when he said they were the greatest voter IDs I've ever seen.
What
I tell
was
you,
the
folks, greatest ID, greatest voter IDs I've ever seen. Very big league IDs. And that's why we know the Panama Canal. We all know it. The Panama Canal is the reason why the electric cars go from 10 minutes to an hour and a half. Believe me.
How many
jokes
how many voter
jokes
IDs
aside,
have you seen? Do you have a
Jokes
top
aside,
10 list?
what was the original question?
Oh, I think he asked him if he
I-
was going to get killed.
Right? What? How- That's Mr. President. Do you think your life is in danger? Let me tell you about the time I saw the best the best voter ID back in 1977. You had to wear a big millstone around your neck.
Oh my God, what a state of affairs.
Oh my God. How?
Oh
is
my
that-
God.
The MAGA movement needs the MAGA movement.
This is who we got, dude. This is
who we
what
got.
it is.
This
This
is
is who
what
we
it
got.
is.
We got to
Man,
keep playing. We got so much left.
we
We're
have
at
so
2
much
hours.
left.
We got so much left.
Come on, Grandpa, get off the tangent.
Petrified that you're not going to be fined another charger.
Come on,
People-
Grandpa,
I'm saying if people, I'm not knocking electric cars, they're fine.
get
They're
off
fine.
the electric
But if
cars.
people want to buy a gasoline car or a hybrids are pretty good actually.
No,
But they
What
should be
is my
allowed to buy-
man
they don't wanna
talking
do
about?
Any of this. So right now, California's in a big brownout because their grid is a disaster. The grid all over the country is sort of a disaster, but the grid in California.
the question
And
was,
yet,
are you going to
they
get
want to have in a
murdered?
very short period of time millions and millions of cars going off that grid essentially. It doesn't work.
So plug your car into a grid that's
You
failing.
should
Don't-
be able to buy an electric car. Electric cars could be fine if you drive short distances
encourage
and you
him,
want to have,
Tucker.
whatever, and you have plug-ins everywhere you go.
Tucker,
They could be
no.
fine. But you got to have gasoline cars. You got to have everything. Let people buy everything. Now there's the new thing is your heating systems in the house. They don't want you to have a modern day heating system. They want you to use a heating system that will cost you at least $10,000 to buy.
And they got this weirdo on the Bud Light can.
Okay, so we should talk about some of the legitimacy of what he's saying, despite how disconnected everything is, right? He is
It's
talking
very
about something that's
schizophrenic.
legitimate. It's the Malthusian bullshit that we've been seeing, the eco-fascism things that we've been talking about stream after stream, right? He's referring to that. Is it answering the question that was asked? No, but
He's not.
there is substance. It's just not connected to the question.
It's not the same as when Oliver Anthony hits the nail on the head in 3 minutes in a song where he nails it. Where the main contradiction that everyday Americans are facing is not military bases in Cuba or that the Panama Canal was only sold for $1.
Yeah, how did
And
that come up?
And it's not electric cars, and it's not all of these tangents. It's that life is getting too expensive. We're working harder than we ever have for less money than we've ever made. And he could just say that. So it's not the same. Like it's the same. It's the. And again, he is an 80-year-old man who watches Fox News. But it's that 80-year-old man who watches Fox News brain of just being led for whatever annoying things in front of you right now, and rather than attacking the crux of the issue, which he can do. We've seen him attack again. It's inflation, it's war, and it's immigration. And so he talked a little bit about Ukraine, but it's those three things but he wants to go on all these other weird tangents. And
Yeah. Like, he definitely watched a documentary about the Panama Canal in the last week, right?
as he was falling to sleep.
I'm telling you, folks, it's real weird. Why did we sell the Panama Canal for $1? We could have sold it for a lot more, but we sold it for $1. Think about it, folks.
And just
Terrible deal. It was a terrible deal.
Right? And won't work very well. None of the stuff works as well. One of the things I did with EPA is you have states, many states, most of the states have so much water, it comes out of heaven, right? The water pours down and you have it. It's there. It's got to go wherever it goes, into the oceans, whatever. It's not like a big problem. Now, in some states, they have a problem. You have some desert areas.
how many
so that
documentaries
is
did he
okay.
watch before falling asleep?
But they have sinks where no water comes out. You turn it on, no water comes out. No water comes out of the shower. No water is allowed to go into the washing machine for your dishes or for your clothing or what. And I avoided all of that.
Wait, they have sinks where no water comes
Sure,
out?
you have restrictors. When I say no water, very
Don't encourage him, Tucker.
Yeah,
little
Tucker,
water.
get
You want to
this
wash your hands,
off
right?
the rails.
And you've seen
Rein it in.
It's his one job.
Get it together, Tucker.
God, what a goober.
Just keep it
So
going.
you turn
keep
on
it
the
going.
sink
This
and
is
it's
crazy.
very little. Or you want to wash your beautiful hair, right? And you're standing under a shower. Then the suds never go. The water comes out very slowly. I'm sure you've seen this. It usually takes place in new hotels and new homes.
Yeah, you take a drill and take the
They have
limiter out.
well, you can, but now they make it so you can't do that so easily. They have a restrictor. It's called a restrictor, and it restricts the water from coming out. So I ended all of that, and you have to see these. They let the water come out. You know what people do? They wash their hands like 5 times longer, or in the washing machine, they'll press for their, let's say the dishwasher, they'll press it. Then they'll press it about 7 or 8 times.
Yeah.
They'll end up using more water, and it still won't be very good. I met with the head of Whirlpool. They were practically going out of business during my administration, and they said to me, from Ohio, incredible, great state. I love Ohio.
Now I know why this interview is 45 minutes long. Tucker was padding for content. That's crazy.
Apparently.
Washing machines. The question was, do you think you're going to get murdered? And we hopped onto washing machines.
He's been all over the place.
All right, let's see where Grandpa goes next.
They were really doing badly because people were dumping washing machines all over, mostly from South Korea, but also from China. And he was explaining it's just a terrible situation. I said, let me ask you, how's the quality? He says, we're better, but they are good enough quality. But, of course, he's going to say that. But, they are better. He said, but they don't allow us. They're dumping these machines. They're cutting us in half. They're killing us. And on top of it, the government won't let us use water in our machines. I mean, he shows me like a quarter of a bottle of water. That's supposed to be washing clothing. And I freed it all up, and I put tariffs on these countries that were selling and the machines coming into the country. And that company went from a big, all the washing machine companies, they make washing machines, they make dryers, they make all of the different machines that do this kind of work, including dishwashers. And they went from a disaster area to being just thriving.
But can I ask,
they love me in that part of Ohio.
Well, I bet they do. But why should EPA, no one at EPA was elected by anybody.
Yeah.
Why do they have the power to decide how much water your washing machine uses? Shouldn't Congress in a democracy get to vote on that?
Yeah, you could say that. They do things that are not very...
So how do you, that's my question. How do you, if you get elected again, go back to Washington, how do you keep the agencies under control? How do you keep FBI and CIA specifically under control?
That was not
Thank you.
a question.
Like I fired, that was a big deal. A lot of people said, and I fired him very early. Somebody said, oh, I wish you would have fired him. There was a real question about firing him. Anyway, you understand, because, when they have a 10-year term, there is a question. I fired Comey. That was a great thing. If I didn't fire Comey, maybe I wouldn't be talking to you, or I'd be talking to you about real estate or something else other than politics, right? That was a coup, in my opinion. That was a very sick deal. That was the insurance policy. You remember the insurance policy? Oh, she's going to win, darling. She's going to win. But just in case she doesn't, we have an insurance policy. An insurance policy was what they were doing. And we caught them with that. That was a very important tweet or whatever it was, text. It was a big deal. That was a big deal. The insurance policy. She's going to win 100 million to 1. That's not good odds. At least they gave me 1, right? 100 million to 1. But just in case she doesn't win, we have an insurance policy. And everybody said, that's strange. That's strange. But we caught all that because I fired Comey. Because when I fired Comey, it was like throwing a rock into a hornet's nest, into a nest of bees, and the place went crazy.
So when you were president, are you confident that you knew everything, say, CIA was doing around the world?
No, I'm not. It's a very interesting group of people. I had very good relationships, I thought, but I was a little surprised when I got out that, things go on. Look, it's
What were you surprised by?
I was surprised. I think it's some of the people. I was surprised that there was. I had a group of people. Look, we killed many using the CIA. I have to say this: very bad actors. We were very good at it. You look at Soleimani. You look at al-Baghdadi, bigger than Osama bin Laden. I mean, Osama bin Laden, but al-Baghdadi did ISIS, and he was rebuilding ISIS very strongly.
And that was the CIA that did that.
That was really us that did that.
Yeah.
07's in the chat for Qasem Soleimani, by the way. R.I.P. the People's Champion.
Yeah, a real one. I hate that he brags
really
about that.
that. And Soleimani was us that did that, not so much CIA. But we did some very good work with the CIA. What I started, when I looked at the 51 intelligence agents saying that was the laptop from hell was Russia disinformation, when I took a look at that, I said, that's a horrible thing. They knew it wasn't. They knew it was not. And by the way, you're talking about cheating on the election. McLaughlin and Fabrizio, great pollsters, they said a thing like that plus other things meant anywhere from 10 to 17% of the vote would change.
Whatever happened to Mike Pence? You've always been nice to Pence. I've never heard you criticize Pence. You've defended him in public many, many times. He's out there attacking you. What is that?
So
Is that a cut?
Mike wants to run.
Yeah,
Is there a cut right there?
Yeah, I think. It was. It's a pre-recorded thing. So imagine just to tighten the.
Man, how long
video
you
and
think
audio
he
a
kept
bit.
going for?
I think he probably just trailed off. I don't think he probably went for much longer because if they didn't cut the washing machine bit, that was a legitimately good question. I wish Tucker Carlson answered it before, but that's such a good question. RFK has so much to talk about the CIA.
Yeah. I don't think he's gonna beat RFK. I don't think he beats RFK, dude. I don't think he's still got it. He's rambling. RFK,
in terms of
talk
numbers,
about
he
important
does.
stuff.
In terms of numbers, he does. I don't see that going away.
I don't believe any polls.
In terms of in terms of energy, we will see if he can keep any sort of coherent energy after his arrest tomorrow. He's pulled through so far. People have more faith in him than they do in at least in the Republican primaries. But yeah, that was such a good question that was just thrown in the garbage.
Yeah.
It wasn't just Comey. It was also the person who succeeded Comey. What was that guy's name?
That's FBI. I'm not sure.
Maybe it was FBI. Not Mark Milley. Was it Milley? No, that's. Anyway, yeah. It's the CIA,
that's a Pentagon guy.
Yeah, the CIA, which did a lot to embroil Trump in a lot of war crimes, like the assassination of Qasem Soleimani. And he'd rather brag about the fact that he committed a war crime, killing Qasem Soleimani, than the fact that the CIA, not just Comey, but the CIA as an institution, subverted his presidency, subverts American sovereignty and the sovereignty of other countries.
Oh yeah, they were leaking all the Russiagate intel to their fucking Mockingbird journalists. Talk about that, dude. You think he doesn't know about that? I don't know.
That's so disappointing. Anyway.
For president. You got to understand, in my opinion, Mike Pence had the absolute right to send the votes back to the legislatures. The Democrats and everybody said, you don't have the right. In other words, what I said, is he a human conveyor belt? You mean if he finds fraud in Pennsylvania, in Georgia, in any of these states, Arizona, he has to send them to Mitch McConnell, right? That's right, sir. Well, if he finds fraud, he has to? Yes, sir. I said, so he's a conveyor belt. Boom, put him in. I said, I don't agree with that. And we had some lawyers, not all. We had some lawyers that said, no, you do have the right to send them back to the legislatures to be rechecked. Because if you looked at what went on in Wisconsin, who, by the way, now agree with me, Wisconsin has been virtually, other than the fact they're not allowed to do anything statutorily, but Wisconsin has been, I mean, what they found is incredible. I mean, we won Wisconsin, but Mike Pence had the right, in my opinion, to send them back.
Do you ever talk to him now?
No, I haven't spoken to him in a long time. I was very disappointed in him. I didn't want to do what Thomas Jefferson did. Thomas Jefferson, it was Georgia. And it was, hear ye, hear ye, the great state of Georgia is not capable or allowed to tabulate their votes. And Thomas Jefferson, who was the vice president, said, is Georgia sure that they cannot tabulate their votes? Georgia is sure. He didn't send them back and have them redo it. He said, we will keep the votes of the great state of Georgia for Thomas Jefferson and his president. I didn't ask him for that. Could have done that too, but I didn't. I thought that would be turmoil. I asked him to send him back to his legislature, to the legislatures, you know, in Wisconsin, let's say.
But why didn't he? I mean, you'd worked together for 4 years. You're the president. He's VP. You say you're aligned on everything.
I think he got very bad advice. I really do. Now, let me tell you what happened. I sat there with a few people. I think his lawyer was in the room too. His lawyer was very much against it. There were other lawyers that felt you could do it. It was one of those things. I think you could have done it. I think you can always do something if you see fraud or if you see problems. But it's very interesting. So after the election was over, the rhinos got together with the Democrats and they redid the election, so you couldn't do it anymore. So then I called the people. I said, so in other words, you're saying I was right. You could do it. Yes, you could do it. In other words, they took the Voting Act and they redid it so the vice president no longer has the power to do what I said he could do. So when that happened, I said, wow. So, and you know, you'd look some of these Democrats in the eye and they say, he has absolutely no right to do it. And immediately after the election, they met rhinos, could name them all, and Democrats, and they approved legislation that takes away the right of the vice president to do it. So I said, so you're saying I was right. The vice president did have the right to do it. And they said, yes, he did.
So if you're saying they stole it from you last time, why wouldn't they do the same this time?
Oh, well, they'll try. They're going to be trying, yeah. But, and not only me, you know. Look, DeSantis is out. I think he's gone. So he was at a level. People have figured him out. He's gone. But if somebody else got in, other than me, they'll go at him just as viciously as they did me. These people are sick. They will go after them. And a lot of people say they won't be able to hold up. I do get credit for holding up quite well, I must tell you. I think it's...
How do you do that? How do you get indicted, you know, every week and stay cheerful?
It's... I think it's a lot easier because I'm so high in the polls, because it means the people get it. The people see it's a fraud. The people see it, like this horrible district attorney from just a little while ago, from essentially Atlanta, that's Fulton County. She said, basically, I don't have any right to challenge an election. Well, what about Stacey Abrams? What about Hillary Clinton? What about all of these Democrats that are still challenging my election? The same people that are saying he's challenging an election challenged my election. And they did it with slates. They did it with all sorts of things. They were very bad about it. But basically, they're suing me and they're saying, you don't have any right to challenge it. If you challenge an election, we're going to indict you and put you in jail. So what they're doing is they've weaponized, and don't kid yourself, the DOJ and Biden and the whole group, they're watching all of this stuff. They love the local stuff. You know, the DA in Manhattan. Not only that, they put one of the DOJ top people into the Manhattan DA's office to run things. They don't even have a case against me. It's not even a case. Everyone says, even the Democrats say, you can't bring these cases. You have no case. The attorney general or the district attorney, Fannie Willis in Atlanta, she's getting killed. Basically, she's saying Trump doesn't have the right to criticize an election. But you've been around long enough now. You've seen many elections criticized. I mean, Hillary Clinton goes crazy. Every time she talks, she says, he's not the president. Jimmy Carter said, he's not the president. Well, I am the president. Hillary Clinton called me, by the way, at 3:02 in the morning to congratulate me the night of the election.
Did her voice crack?
Well, her voice was, it's very different, I will say. I won't get into that. But
What do you mean?
her voice was very different. Don't forget, they were all celebrating at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And I came home and I said, I think we won. I felt we won because the rallies are so big. We'd go to Wisconsin and we'd go to Georgia. We'd go to different states. In Michigan, we'd have rallies. In Pennsylvania, we had 58,000 people in Butler. And I said, how are we losing this? How do you have a rally where you have from 50 to 100,000 people, many of them? I did 7 a day for a couple of days. That's a lot. That's a lot. These are big rallies too. And I didn't hold back. I didn't say, let's make them little
7 a day,
abbreviations, right? But they challenged the stuff.
Yeah.
Hillary called me up and conceded. Now the word is that Obama said you have to do that. But she called up and totally conceded. But now, every time you see her on television, she's saying,
I don't want to imagine that, Aaron.
well, she's challenging.
high on
election.
adrenochrome, more
Do you
like.
think-
So that would mean that she should be indicted, but that would mean also that Stacey Abrams in Georgia should be indicted because she still thinks she won the election for governor. She still thinks that. She's never recanted. And
Do you think Stacey Abrams will be indicted for that?
No, of course not. She won't be. The Democrats don't get indicted for things like that. They don't get impeached. No, it's a different thing. With that being said,
Yes.
I had great support when they did impeachment hoax #1 and impeachment hoax #2. Jim Jordan, the House was fantastic. And actually the Senate was very good for me, other than, Mitch McConnell. I think it's too bad I endorsed him. He was begging, he was going to lose that race and I endorsed him and he ended up winning the race because of my endorsement. He was down, he was going to lose to Amy McGrath. She was $90 million in cash, all set to go. She was leading by 3. He was going down. I did him a favor. And then 3-4 months later, he really wanted to impeach me. He's a bad guy. But if you look at what's going on politically, so interesting. The level of loyalty is different in politics than it is in normal life, I will say. With that being said, I've had great loyalty also. But the House was fantastic. The Senate was very good. They overrode Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell, in my opinion, was trying to get senators to impeach me, especially for the second one. And on the first one, he acted very, very slow. He should have gone much faster. But Mitch McConnell wanted to, and the senators went up to guys that are subservient to him because he gives money. He gives them money. He gives them a lot of money. He raises some money and he gives it to them, and therefore they do what he said. That's the only form of leadership he's got.
So last question, if you're elected president again, what's your number one priority? When you ran last time, you said, I will build a wall.
Here we
This
go.
time, your bottom line top promise to the
So
country.
you can do numerous things at the same time.
Of course.
But let's say number one is a border. And
Okay.
taking hundreds of thousands of criminals that have been allowed into our country and getting them out and bringing them back to their country, Guatemala. By the way, not only the 4 countries that we think of as neighbors, all over the world. Last month, we had 149 countries represented. Think of it. We had 149 countries represented, Tucker, from places that many people never even heard of, coming into our country. And they're coming in from mental institutions and they're coming in from prisons. They're emptying out their prisons all over South America. They're emptying out their mental institutions. Terrorists are pouring into our country. We have no idea. I had the strongest border in the history of our country, and I built almost 500 miles of wall. They like to say, oh, was it less? No, I built 500 miles. In fact, if you check with the authorities on the border, we built almost 500 miles of wall, and I had another 200 that I was going to build. It's like water, it seeks. And we're going to build another 200. We built it. It was all set to go. All they had to do was install it. It would have taken 3 weeks. And that's when I found out. I said, I think these people actually want open borders. The first thing I would do would
Where
be,
was this energy
I would
for the
seal up
interview?
the border good and tight, except for people that want to come in legally.
Do you
But
think we're moving towards civil war?
I'll save it for the end.
There's tremendous passion and there's tremendous love. January 6th was a very interesting day because they don't report it properly. I believe it was the largest crowd I've ever spoken before. And you know some of the crowds I've spoken before. And like July 4th on the mall, I think they had 1 million people there. But I think that the biggest crowd I've ever spoken before was on January 6th. And people that were in that crowd, a very, very small group of people. And we said patriotically and peacefully and patriotically, right? Nobody ever says that. Go peacefully and patriotically. But people that were in that crowd that day, very small group of people, went down there. And then there are a lot of scenarios that we can talk about. But
Name them.
people in that crowd said it was the most beautiful day they've ever experienced. There was love in that crowd. There was love and unity. I have never seen such spirit and such passion and such love. And I've also never seen simultaneously and from the same people such hatred of what they've done to our country.
So do you think it's possible that there's open conflict? We seem to be moving towards something.
I don't know, because I don't know what it, I can say this. There's a level of passion that I've never seen. There's a level of hatred that I've never seen. And that's probably a bad combination.
Donald Trump, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Very much.
Thank you.
That is a bad combination, by the way.
Bad combination. Thank you.
Boo. Week ending.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have it, man. I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it. Like the dark MAGA hyperstition just didn't come to fruition. Like he says his number one priority is the border. He's just that's what he said in 2016. But like, man, it's 2023. Like it feels like he's got people that he's like, okay, these are the people who can be punching bags, which is Joe Biden and Mitch McConnell. But then like Mike Pence, he's like playing with kid gloves. Like he's a fucking reptilian. We all know he's a reptilian. Call him a reptile. And the CIA, he's got kid gloves. Like he briefly mentioned that they all signed this letter saying that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. But like, why are you briefly mentioning that? Hammer that shit, dude. They stabbed you in the back. And like, that's where all this fucking fake Russiagate intel was coming from. But again, he's playing with like kid gloves. It's like he's trying to walk this middle line. Like he's trying to appease these people. They're not going to meet him halfway. They're not going to they're trying to throw him in fucking jail. Like, go scorched earth, man. And he just didn't do it. Like, why are you have the gloves on with the fucking CIA? They were opposed to you the entire time through the media, through this fake impeachment and the Russiagate hoax. They're the enemy. And he's still bragging about Soleimani. Like, these people aren't ever going to meet you halfway. And he should have this figured out by now. That was disappointing, to be honest. I mean, he should be going scorched earth. His number one priority should not be the border. It should be, we're going to fucking overthrow these people who opposed me for 4 years, 3 years of Russiagate, and then COVID. I mean, he barely talked about COVID. Where did COVID come from? Why were mail-in ballots a thing? Well, we didn't touch on that at all.
Yeah, we're on YouTube.
Right. Sorry.
We're on YouTube.
Sorry.
And
Sorry.
everything that happened with COVID was real.
Yeah.
The vaccines
doing it
are
again.
safe and effective.
They're bringing it back. They're doing COVID again. COVID, according to Alex Jones, COVID lockdowns are coming back in mid-September.
So
and it's obviously for the election. I don't know. He should be going scorched earth. And
if he wants to make the border his number one priority, that is a valid priority considering considering it's one of the top concerns of people in the country. And I mean that makes sense. And it's also just like a huge in terms of like actual lives lost, in terms of immediacy, like with lives being lost to not just to fentanyl, but now just like with the cartel hacking into like hospital computers and like moving and contributing to water loss in California because of illegally tapping into like groundwater. I mean that's a huge security crisis for the United States. The problem is that it connects to all these other things that he wants to dodge, like CIA, like rising crime, like how Joe Biden has contributed to like inflation, and it's the worst it's ever been in like decades. The border contributes to all those things. It is like this central matrix, like around which all these other problems connect. But he didn't. If that's really his priority, you think it would have showed up more throughout the rest of that interview, rather than like sort of in the last 3 minutes broadly. That's the real
also-
problem.
Well,
There. It's
but
just that
no,
And washing machines.
his number one priority
is washing machines.
his number one priority needs to be draining the swamp, because he's not going to be able to do anything about the border as long as this deep state is there opposing him. If he got in somehow
I
for another
think
4
we
years,
need to. I think we need to backtrack and just kind of realize that, remember, Donald Trump is an icon of MAGA. MAGA is the one that has this revolutionary energy. Trump doesn't have this revolutionary energy. He's an icon of the revolutionary subject. So that's the thing we always have to kind of subtract ourselves from and not get so, heated in this, this exchange. Yeah, I get it. I wish Trump was, going scorched earth against the CIA. Hell, I wish RFK Jr. was, better on issues too, like environmentalism and not being such a fucking suck up to the environment shit, not being a fucking Zionist and all that crap. We can go all day with all of these different Bonapartists and how they are not, meeting the moment. That's where we come in, the people. That's where, communists are supposed to come in. That's where, anti-imperialists are supposed to come in. We can't expect these politicians, even the ones that are better, to really represent the working class on their own. The working class must represent themselves.
Yeah, American Stalinism is really the only platform strong enough to carry forward the legacy of MAGA at this point. I pulled up the post here that Haas from Infrared had posted yesterday. That is a platform that really you don't see anyone on the debate stage currently or Trump talking about. This is a platform for the next decade that could reshape the country and save us from this century of humiliation. But I think it's worth. Since Yankee had said, it's up to us to carry forward the MAGA legacy. I think it's worth going through this policy as we wrap up this stream. Just reminding ourselves what a concrete material vision is, not just talking about washing machines on the Panama Canal. but Haas had posted yesterday the red plan to fix America, and the platform here that's a lot of just common sense material stuff, like dismantlement of all post-war federal agencies, like Tucker Carlson was trying to softball Trump into saying, radical scaling back and simplification of government. 2, replace Congress with Grand People's Assembly, delegated system of government, beginning with the town hall. I think that's an amazing thing. I had posted about this like months and months ago. Yeah, just like replace Congress with the People's Assembly. Great idea. 3, overhaul judicial system, creation of people's courts, prosecute Washington, like Milkman was saying, drain the swamp, Wall Street, Hollywood, and other elites for crimes against humanity, child sex trafficking, corruption, theft of American wealth, and other crimes against the people. 4, abolition of private central banking, the Federal Reserve. There's the immediate nationalization of all energy companies. New state bank issuing blockchain currency backed by rare earth minerals and energy. That's an interesting one. I can get behind that. I really do think blockchain, when in the hands of the people, has a lot of potential. Just not when it's in the hands of like the WEF, the most reactionary forces of technological rule. The dismantlement of corporate service sector, widespread promotion of automation coupled with 18-hour work week, just firing all the baristas and automating their
Jehu
jobs.
influence.
The Jehu influence. Gotta pay lip service to it.
Yeah.
Conversion of military-industrial complex into state-owned engineering, infrastructure, and construction corporations. Tech-focused land and housing reform, rapid large-scale creation of cities, the quantum leap that that energy that I miss from Donald Trump. Massive investment in fusion energy and nuclear technologies. And finally, acceleration of post-capitalistic, post-corporate economy using AI, 3D printers, blockchain currencies, and promotion of do-it-yourself modular industrial economy, promotion of backyard enterprises, aka decentralized economic association. That, folks, is a platform I think could be the real quantum leap that the MAGA movement has been thirsty for the past year, at least ever since the election cycle has started up again.
Yeah, I think that's
Well,
absolutely.
I wish Hazaldin was on that debate stage.
One day.
Yeah,
Okay.
look,
Yeah,
we need
inshallah.
to organize, within our communities, within our, the online information space as well. I think that's where the IGG organization on the ground, and hopefully, the barracks, the media apparatus online, in combination of these two things, that, we can actually, build something, push MAGA in the direction of being fully revolutionary. That's the hope, and we cannot just sit here and cry and scream like, Trump, you're not doing this, RFK Jr., not doing that. These people are just simply never going to meet the moment.
Yeah. It's good as any time for a call to action to join the barracks on Discord. Be a part of the people's deep state. We want you to push forward this Stalinist communist agenda that meets the golden center of the people's needs, of their demands.
We will fight the information war. We will fight the people's information war. Absolutely. It is inevitable that we shall succeed.
Yeah, and with that sentiment, I think we've come to a good wrapping up point. We covered a lot today. With the breaking news of Prigozhin's assassination over Russian airspace, we'll make sure to keep you posted when we find out more details about that. Follow us at the Barracks Live on X.com, and make sure to like the video for those of you who are still left watching. For those of you tuning in the future, we appreciate y'all tuning in so much. Can't do this without you. Let us know what you think on Discord once you hop in there. But any last words, Milkman, before we hop out?
I mean, I think Yankee pretty much nailed it. Nobody's gonna come riding in on a horse and save us. Like, even the best of the bourgeois politicians are, at the end of the day, bourgeois politicians, and it's really on us. We got to save ourselves, and that's what it is.
And I'll say this with my last words. In 1919, the Soviet people of Russia rose, and they organized their masses. And then later, under the Red Revolution in China, Mao Zedong led the people, and the people organized themselves, and they rose against the system that kept them down. And likewise, throughout the rest of history, we see countries like Cuba, Nicaragua, Venezuela, you see what is going on in Niger. You see what's going on with the EFF in South Africa. And you see what's happening with the Russian people over fighting against the NATO proxy war being done upon them. We should be inspired by these events throughout history, and as we see them in our moments, in our own time. We will succeed. We will fight the people's information war. We will not fail. And with that being said, solidarity.
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 Take that with you. When you go to sleep tonight, wake up refreshed tomorrow to fight in this information war. That's all we got for tonight. We're tuning out. Thank you all so much for tuning in. But for right now, that's all we got. We're out.